Hello! And welcome, Acolights. My name is Light Awakener, and welcome to some more cardboard. We got some more cardboard! I love it. I'm all for it. I'm not gonna lie. I knew I was going to be poor this month because A, the new sets for Elestrals was coming out, and I wanted to get some boxes of those, and B, the new set for Lorcana was coming out, and I knew I had to get a box of that! So, that's what I'm gonna do. I went to a sealed event on Sunday, I believe. I went 2-2. I should have gone 3-1, TBH, but unfortunately, my opponent drew the out as the last remaining card in their hand, so I lost that match. Alright, well, but let's get this all set up. We got the little stand. Ooh, baby, look at that. Delicious, delicious cardboard. Oh. Okay, we got some Disney characters here, and my beloved boy Trapinch off to the side. You know I love my boy. My boy has to be here to support me. When we get an Uno stream, what, do you want me to, like, play against my family members, or do you want me to, like, play against myself? What you thinking? Why do you want me to play some Uno, huh? Hold on, how many packs is this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 3, 24. 24 packs that we're going to be opening. Ooh. Of course, I mean, this... You have Uno! We all got it free on Xbox! Well, I mean, you know, I did have Uno on Xbox. I'm pretty sure I didn't get it with my Xbox, but I eventually got Uno. But yeah, no, this set is all about pirates. It's all about inventors, and you know what? I'm all for it. Look, we even got Stitch is a pirate on the main card. And I mean, there are only a couple of cards that I'm really, like, looking for. I really wish I was, like, better at opening packs, though. I swear. I get worse and worse every single time. We got that ASMR pack opening, though. Listen, Baymax isn't a pirate. Baymax is a robot. He's part of the inventor section of the set. So let's see. Michael Darling. So it's a 1-mana 2-2, which isn't very good. Usually for a card to be playable in 1, they have to be like a 1-3 or have a really busted effect. A 2-2 is just a vanilla. Doesn't really do anything. So in order to win in Lorcana, you see this little counter here? Basically, on your turn, you can either use your own card to attack something, so in this case that has 2 attack, 2 defense, or you can turn it sideways and quest with it to gain 1 lore. You win the game if you get 20 lore. That's the way you win. So, I mean, as good as vanilla is, Michael Darling, not great. So, hold on. I'm going to sort these by colors, probably. Nick Wilde. So 1 mana, 1/2. While you have another character with support in play, this character gets +2 attack. It's bad, because there are just baseline 1 mana cards that already have 3 attack. I mean, they're not really too good themselves, plus this one requires you to have something with support on the field, so not very good. We're looking for some chase cards. Dale! Part of the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, they were introduced in this set as well. 3 mana, 3/4. This character enters play exerted unless you have a character named Chip in play, so it's basically a 3/3/4. Comes in sideways so your opponent can attack it, or what have you. Does quest for 2, which is pretty decent, but all in all, not really a good card. I mean, maybe eventually when there are a lot of Chip and Dale cards, it'll have more play, but not for now. 3 mana, Making Magic purple. Move 1 damage Move 1 damage counter from chosen character to opposing chosen character. Draw a card. It draws a card, that's okay. 1 damage moving, not very good. Probably not going to see any play. Maybe in, like, very specific decks. This card is very thematic. I'm not sure if it's ever going to be played, but it's 1 mana, chosen character gets +2 attack. If it's a pirate, they get +3 attack instead. Well, this turn anyway. So, I mean, it's good for removing stuff, but won't really do anything if you don't have a pirate. Mullins! 5 mana, 6/4. While you have a character named Mr. Smee in play, this character gets resist 1. So, for 5 mana, 6/4, it has alright stats, but you need something on field for it to even have an ability, so it's not going to be played. Unlike Alestrals, I actually know quite a bit about Lorcana, so I know what cards are more playable than others. 4 mana, so also something I didn't notice, so see how this card in the top left does not have the golden circle that some of these other cards do? So there's no mana in this game per se. You have cards in your hand, and then every turn you can choose one card that has that symbol and put it face down to act as your mana, and then you use that to tap for the cost of the card. So if you have 4 in your ink pool, then you can play this card. But this card, you cannot put into your ink. So if you have it in your hand and you can't play it, well, you can't play it. You can't ink it, it's just gonna sit in your hand until you can. So Peter Pan, 4 mana, 1/3. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, exert chosen opposing character. So on 4 mana, this comes in. If you're on turn 5, you can play this, put something into your inkwell, exert something, so then your own characters can just run into it. It's all right. It's like Fate Cataclysm. I do not know what that is, DJ. What is Fate Cataclysm? I mean, it's an alright card. I think it's very niche, so it's going to have to find its home in certain decks. Transport Pod. This is one of the cards that I'm kind of looking forward to. So 1 mana, at the start of your turn, you may move a character of yours to a location for free. So Lorcana, like, while it has a bunch of spell cards, it has continuous spell cards, it has, like, monsters, or, like, they're called glimmers, but that's literally just any of the character cards. They also have song cards, which is like a spell, but you can use a character that with that cost to sing it. So you, like, if you have a song that costs 4, you can turn Peter Pan sideways, play that song for free, which is a very interesting mechanic. You also have item cards, which are kind of like just continuous effects on the field, and you have locations. Locations usually just gain you passive lore, or they also have different good effects based on what's there or who gets there. And Transport Pod is just a free way to get things to a location. So that's pretty good. I think I'm going to have to make a deck around that. 5 mana, 2/6 Prince Naveen, Shift 3. So Shift is another mechanic. Basically, if you have a small Prince Naveen, like one that costs 1 or 2 on the field, instead of 5 mana to play this card, you can play it for 3 mana on top of the Naveen that you already had. Bodyguard. Bodyguard is basically like Taunt. It can basically just protect your stuff if it's sideways, and it quests for 2. I mean, if you get it in for a shift, it's pretty good. So 3 mana, 2/6, defends pretty much anything you have. It dies to anything in red, though, because red has a card that just removes something with 2 or less attack, and Prince Naveen just so happens to have 2 or less attack. Hold on, let me turn, like, the brightness down a little bit. Oh my god, you know what? I think that's going to be the perfect lighting for here. So, Prince Naveen over here. Jasmine! 3 mana, 2/3. When you play this character, choose 1. Exert chosen damage character. Chosen opponent's character gains Reckless. So Reckless is during the next turn they can't quest and have to challenge. It's okay. I mean, for the 3 mana, 2/3 is not great stats. Like 3 mana, 3/3 is the most common that you would see. But, I mean, you're able to make sure something that's damaged on their side is attackable, or you can make sure that something on their side has to run into something on your side. So, I mean, it's good, like, it has options, definitely. Allowing for counterplay seems to be the hardest part of making a card game. Oh my god, I just realized, we got a legendary right off the bat. So this Jasmine is a legendary, so it's the highest rarity we can get. 6 mana, 5/5, shift 5. So, instead of coming in for 6, she can come in for 5. So 5 mana, 5/5, those are pretty decent stats. When you play this character, if you use shift to play her, return all other exerted characters to their opponent, to the other player's hands. So, like, say you have a Jasmine just sitting in attack mode, your opponent can't attack it, they use all of their creatures to quest or attack, they're all tapped out, then bam, you play Jasmine over your Jasmine, all of those cards get sent back to their hand. So it's a catch-up card, and it's also a blowout card. which, I mean, I did get this card in sealed. It's very strong when you do manage to get off. Unfortunately, you need some good Jasmines to actually get it set. Hold on, let me put all of the legendaries, like, right here, yeah. Does Lorcana have an online app? It used to! It used to have an online app, which is the worst part, DJ. You don't understand. It was called Pixelborn. It was really good. It worked. It had all of the card effects. It did everything it was supposed to. It was free to play, but it was not made by Disney. So Disney, pulled an old Yeller, and they took it into the backyard and shot it dead. They shot it dead so many times. So, no, Lorcana, and, like, everyone was like, okay, why are you doing that? Like, do you have an online client to replace it? No. They did not. They did not have an online client to replace it. So, unfortunately, no online client as of yet. Who knows? Maybe Disney will decide to eventually come out with one. That would be dope. Probably won't happen for like another couple years, which is awful. But that's also one of the reasons why I was kind of getting into Alestrals, because Alestrals, their online client is made by the same people who made the Lorcana client, which is just like, yeah, you know, things just fall into place like that sometimes. Oh, God. Yeah, no, when they announced they were killing the online client, I think everyone who plays Lorcana cringed, mentally, physically. In any way that you could possibly cringe, we all did it. Yeah, you can play on Tabletop Sim. That is a way to play it. Let's see. Last card in the pack, Microbots. It's shiny. You can have any number of cards called Microbots in the deck, so typically you can only have 4 of a card in your deck. When you play this card, chosen character gets -1 attack this turn for each item named Microbots you have in play. So, by itself, not too great, basically just -1's attack on something. But you have a ton of these in your deck, you play a bunch, and I think there is a payoff for this card, but like, it's a legendary, so we'll have to see. Also, each card has part of a picture, so let's see if we can build that at the very end. I need to kind of like pick this up, we only have this one. You downloaded the Alestrals mobile app, but forgot about it. I mean, honestly, the mobile app, I'd say, is pretty good for, like, learning the game and stuff. No, I only tore off a little bit of it. Okay, that's fine. Let's just do it this way. But honestly, with the official online app coming out pretty soon, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty solid, and I'm not going to lie to you, Acolights. I will most likely play that game at least once a week on stream, and then I will also make videos for that game. So, I'm going to be doing a lot of Alestrals content in the future. Let's see. 1 mana gold coin. Tap this and pay 1 mana. Banish this item. Ready chosen character of yours. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. So basically, like, say you have a Jasmine that's tapped out, you used her to quest or attack or something, you can banish gold coin, so either you can play it and then pay 1 to do its effect, or you can have it sitting on the field and then eventually pay 1 and then untap Jasmine so that she maybe will get to live and won't be attacked. That said, not a very great effect. There are a lot of better cards that can just do that same thing. And also it banishes itself, which is just not very good. Most items that banish themselves is just a one-time thing. You might want to challenge you one night once it comes out. Do it, DJ. Like, I'll face you. Listen, you want to fight me in Alestrals? Ideally, I'll know the game by then, because I'll have it a lot earlier than you, because I got the access to the alpha, but, you know, I'm more than willing. I'm more than willing to use you as a crash test dummy. I'm more than willing to play. You know me, I like playing against people. I don't think... Wait, have we ever played Smash against each other? Was that before you found this channel? I mean, I will do it again eventually. I love playing Smash against my viewers. It's so fun. Ben, this card is not going to be played. 4 mana, 4/3, so it's kind of like just average stats. Support. Support is like the least impactful mechanic, just because they overprice it on everything. But 4 mana, 4/3, it gives something else for attack whenever it quests. It's alright. I don't think it's going to really see much. Maybe eventually when, like, robots see a lot more stuff. You will destroy me in Smash? I mean, hey, look, DJ, I got Master Duel. If you wanna, like, I'm not sure if you have Master Duel. I will literally play you in Master Duel. One of these days, I'll just play Master Duel on stream. Anyone who wants to play against me, bam, we can. Don't look at my fucking hand, though. If you look at my hand, you're banned. Of course I have Mastery. Yeah, obviously. Okay, Chip. 3 mana, 3/3, so that's just average stats. When you play this character, chosen character gets +1 lore this turn. So this card is probably going to be decently played. I could see a bunch of aggro decks just playing it just because. It ramps up their turn counter, essentially, but I don't know, it's kind of middling. It doesn't really do anything besides that. I think you would much rather just play the Donald Duck that does the same thing and it has Taunt. You have Honor at least? I don't know, DJ. If you want to type at me while we're playing, what guarantee do I have that you are not looking at my hand? Oh, this is a location. So 1 mana, it's a sideways card. So 1 mana, it costs 1 to move a character onto this location, and it has 4 health, and has 1 lore. So basically, the way this works is, this doesn't have an effect. This is a basic land, or a basic location. You play it for 1 mana, it just hangs out on your field. At the start of your turn, you gain a lore because of it, which is, like, decent. Oh yeah, I forgot there's a pop-out function for YouTube. You know what, you know what? I maybe will trust you, assuming you're not beating me, otherwise I will call hacks no matter what you do, because obviously no one could beat me ever, is the consensus that I am coming to in my head. But yeah, that's how locations work. Super straightforward. A lot of times, like, locations are a lot better if they have lore, but if they don't have lore, usually they have a pretty good effect to make up for it. But yeah, that's just like the most basic of lands. I don't think that's going to see play, maybe in like super aggro decks. Fred! He's an aggro card as well. So it's a 1 mana, 1/1. Whenever this character is challenged, gain 2 lore. So basically he just hangs out on the field, you quest with him every single turn, and you essentially, eventually, your opponent will just get mad enough to hit him, and then you'll get 2 free lore. So, just baseline, he's 3 lore by himself. It's okay. I'm not sure how often he's going to be played, or if he'll even be played at all. John Silver, one of my favorite... Did you just say Gem Knights will obliterate me? How dare you? You fucking... You. Gem Knights? Well, I haven't read any of their new cards, so who knows? Maybe they got something busted. But I don't know about that one. John Silver, though, he's one of my favorites, so my goal in this entire set is just to make a really good pirate location deck. And John Silver, it definitely seeming like a contender for being in the deck, because it's a 3 mana, 3/3. When you play this character, chosen character can't challenge during their next turn. So basically, if you have something that you really want to stay alive, this guy comes in, makes sure that an opponent's character cannot attack you. So, I mean, yeah, it's very good for, like, stalling your opponent. I could see, like, playing it, maybe 2 copies in a deck. We have either that or your Odd Eyes Magician deck. I have a ton of decks, let's be real. Let's see, we already saw Peter Pan. We're going to see a lot of duplicates in this. Honey Lemon! Another big Hero 6 card. So let's see. 2 mana, 1/1. When you play this character, you may pay 2 to have each opponent choose and discard a card. So you can play this on 2 mana. It's just 2 mana, 1/1, and it can quest for 2. Or you can play it on 4 mana to make your opponent discard. Green has, like, a lot of these cards recently. They're going to become, like, the options. Like, usually they can either come in as themselves or come in with extra mana to do an effect. And I mean, they're okay. I have not, like, green, those cards don't really appeal to me, so I probably won't be playing it, but my brother might. He definitely likes green a lot more than I do. Another chip, a different chip. So, 4 mana, 3/4. While you have a character named Dale in play, this character gains support. I don't think the Chip and Dale cards are too good. Honestly, they have a shift card that came out that's a lot better. Are there cards that activate on discard? There are cards that discard, But I don't think there are currently... I think there might be, like, one card that activates when you discard it. So, I mean, like, it's not very good in the stuff that it does. Rafiki! 9 mana, 6/6, so awful stats. Shift 7, so it's a 7 mana, 6/6, which is barely better. But it quests for 4 lore, that's a lot. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may draw a card. I don't see this going to be played. I mean, like, drawing cards is really good. Drawing cards in any game is really good, but I just don't think, like, it's just way too slow. Comes out too late. You can't ink this. It's just a dead card if you draw it until you get 7 mana. Yeah, no, probably not going to do much. You like cards that do something when you discard a card? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love graveyard decks. Like, I have a zombies deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just Lorcana, I think this is its 5th set, but it hasn't really done much with the graveyard. It has some stuff that lets you, like, res stuff from the graveyard, or, like, put stuff from the graveyard back to your hand or on top of the deck, but not much that lets you get advantage for discarding cards, which is a shame because there are a couple of cards that are really good but require you to discard a card. So if only, like, as soon as they make a discard outlet, like a good card to discard, I'm going to be playing those cards a lot. Let's see. Flaversham! It's a 2 mana uninkable, 0/2, but it quests for 3. So it comes out early, its only goal is to quest once, maybe twice. If it does that, then it's done its job. Usually you'll play this, and then you'll play something with Bodyguard to protect it. But yeah, no, it's just a really good aggro card. And it's probably going to see play just on that alone. Ew! Myrtle Edmonds. It's just a 1 mana, 1/3 basic. Pretty much most 1 mana cards that are playable are 1/3. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay because it's Myrtle, but hey, it's a lot better than Olaf. Yeah, no, it's definitely not Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, there are cards that, like, they bring cards back from the graveyard, or they, if you have, like, characters with the same name in the graveyard, they, oh my god, I can't fucking open this pack. There we go. But yeah, for the most part, no cards that have any effect in the graveyard as of yet. Adorobeezle Winterpop. 3 mana, 1/5. While this character has damage, she gets +1 lore. So it doesn't do anything when it comes in, and you have to somehow actively damage it before it can actually do something. I mean, it can sing songs, which would cost 3 or less, so like Teeth and Ambitions, deal 2 damage to this, deal 2 damage to an opponent. And then it can quest for 2. I don't think that's good because that means it's a 3 mana 1/3 quest for 2. Nah, I don't think it's going to be played at all. Hold on. This is going to bother me. I'm going to change my focus camera. I think I'm just going to try autofocus. I'm not sure if that's going to be a mistake, but we'll give it a try. Okay. What, you didn't know Myrtle's full name? Yeah, it's Myrtle Edmonds. She's awful. She's an awful little creature. Oh, it's the MILF. And Cass! Whenever this character quests, chosen inventor character gets +1 lore this turn. It's alright. I think it needs a critical mass of inventors to actually work well, and this is the first set that Inventor as like a class was introduced, so I don't think it's going to be played too much. In the future, I could see this being a lot better. Ooh. Mr. Litwack. Yo, what's up, EZ? Not Myrtle, the Wreck-It Ralph character. Oh, Adorobeezle Winterpop? Oh, yeah, no. Most of the other racers, I had no idea what their name was, and then I read their card. Like, every single one of their names is like a pun on candy. It's weird. This is another Wreck-It Ralph card. 3 mana, 2/3. Once during your turn, whenever you play another character, you may ready this character. He can't quest or challenge for the rest of this turn. So he can, like, quest or challenge something, then you play a character, he readies himself, and then you can use him to, like, sing a card? That's alright. I think we need a lot better cards to sing for him to see play, though. because it requires you to both have a character in your hand and have a song that costs 3 or less in your hand. So it requires 2 things to be good. Otherwise, he's just kind of like there. He just kind of exists. Ooh. Making Magic, we already saw that, not a good card. Galactic Communicator, this was an MVP during the sealed match. So, 2 mana, uninkable, so you can't use it as ink. 1 mana, banish this item, return chosen character with 2 power or less to their player's hand. There are a ton, a metric fuck ton, of cards and characters that have 2 or less attack. So it's just good. Sits on the field if you don't need to use it, or if you want to make it a surprise, 2 mana play it out, 1 mana play it immediately, bounce something back to their hand. Yeah, there are a lot of Stitch cards in this as well. Maybe I should, hold on. I need to think of, a better way to do this. Jasmine, I'm going to move you over here, just because I can already tell that trying to put them all in that format, it's not going to work too well. Especially when I have, stacks on stacks and stacks. Legendary's right there. You know, I think that works a lot better. Hold on, why is everything sideways? Oh, well, might be because they're, sideways for me. Hey, come on. Come on. Come on. Does that look better? Looks marginally better, I suppose. Not really. 99% of cards, I don't see it getting played. Listen, there are definitely, a lot of these cards require some combo or some, setup, but there could also be combos that I'm just not seeing. Let's see. Twin Fire. 2 mana, uninkable, deal 2 damage to chosen character, then you may choose and discard a card to deal 2 damage to another chosen character. This is another card. What's I'm saying? Once we have a discard card, this card is going to be absolutely broken. I mean, you can't ink it, but I mean, just 2 mana, deal 2, it's okay. Then if you discard something that gets something good, bam, it deals 4 damage to something. Wait, to deal 2 damage to another chosen character. Okay, so this has to target 2 different things. But I mean, if your opponent has 2 different things with 2 defense or less, they just die. It's okay. What about that discard card we had earlier? I mean, there's nothing, that card discarded. It doesn't, do anything on discard. Let's see. Tinkerbell. 7 mana, 5/6, shift 5, so 5 mana, 5/6, good stats. It has evasive, so that means only characters that also have evasive can challenge it, so she's going to be sticking around, being a pain in the ass. Whenever this character quests, your other fairy characters get +1 lore this turn. I don't think we have too many fairies. Most of the fairies we have are, Tinkerbells. We have a ton of Tinkerbells. We also have, the Fairy Godmother. We have, the fairies from Sleeping Beauty that gave her a bunch of gifts. I mean, I'd say this is just, a solid card. Tinkerbell has been wanting another shift target besides the steel one. I could see it being played. Prince Philip, my boy. 3 mana, 3/2, 2 lore, and ward. So pretty simple. It's a beater. 3 mana, 3/2 is decent stats. Preferably you would want a 3 mana, 3/3, but since it has ward protects it from being targeted. So it can't be just obliterated with a spell. It's probably going to be able to quest twice, usually, so you'll get 4 lore from it, and then most likely it'll kill something in response. Like flying in... Yes, it is exactly like flying in Magic the Gathering. Rescue Rangers away! 2 mana, count the number of characters you have in play. Chosen character loses attack equal to that number until the start of your next turn. So this card is only good if you have at least 2, 3, 4 things on the field. And by that point, you're kind of already winning for the most part. So I don't see Rescue Rangers away being played. Oh, this is the Chippendale card. Wait, where's my... Yellow. Yes, yellow. I can see colors, I swear. This is the shift card that I was talking about, so this has potential. So it's 8 mana, uninkable, which is, I mean, that's pretty bad. 6/6, so 8 mana, 6/6, awful. But shift 5/6/6, that's pretty good. And it can be shifted onto either Chip or Dale. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your Inkwell, you may return a character from your discard to your hand. Yeah, no. So, 5 mana, 6/6, it can quest for 3, and then if you ever put something into your ink, so I mean, ideally, I think you would want to play this on turn 6, shift it out for 5, put something into your inkwell, and then immediately get a character from your discard back into your hand. So yeah, no, like, it's unfortunate the Chip and Dale cards that we actually have, I don't feel are good. Well, I mean, they're decent. They have decent stats. That's the best part about them. They have decent stats, they just don't do a whole lot. But this card, as a payoff for them, that's pretty good. So, I mean, yeah, that's going to... people are going to experiment that with so much. It doesn't exclude itself either, so it's a good card to have 2 of. Yeah, exactly. So, if you absolutely... So, one thing that's interesting to note about Shift is that Shift does not care about itself either. So, focus. Focus on the card. Thank you. So, Chip and Dale can... Well, I mean, I guess this is a bad example because it has to shift on Chip or Dale, and this is called Chip and Dale. But most shifts, they can shift on themselves. So, like, say you have this Jasmine, actually. So Jasmine has a shift 5, but if you really wanted to, you could play this exact card on top of itself as a shift, and then it would still get its ability off. So, Shift has a lot of stuff that you can do with it, and it's really, really interesting. Let's see. Peter Pan. I don't think I've ever seen this one before. 7 mana, 4/6. That's okay. This character enters play exerted. That's bad. While this character is exerted, each opponent player can't gain lore unless one of their characters is challenged this turn. Okay, so it has like a weird semi-taunt where your opponent is forced to attack this if they want to try and gain lore and win the game. 7 is a lot, though. 7 for 4/6, but I mean, pretty much anything that attacks this is going to die, because a lot of stuff that your opponent would want to quest with or would have probably has less than 4 defense. So they're sending at least one thing in here and it's going to die, then basically you just quest this every turn. Your opponent can't do anything about it unless they attack it. So I mean, I feel like people are going to experiment with this a lot too, but I'm not a green player, so I'm not even going to pretend. Another Prince Naveen. I think we only have like 1 2-cost Naveen, so I mean, playing this for 3, really good. If you have to play it for 5, it's really bad. Alright, next pack. Come on. Come on. Ah, there we go. Alright, Jumbo Pop. Trash. That's 3 mana, uninkable, so it just sits in your hand until you can play it. Banish this item, remove 2 damage from each of your characters, draw a card. So it's healing, or it's faux healing, and then you draw a card. I mean, the card draw is nice. It's overpriced for what it does. Because it's like, only in like a really big heal deck would you ever want to play it. There is a healing deck, but it hasn't seen play since like the 2nd set, so I mean, I'm not sure if it would see play. Well, let me like adjust the light a little bit. Let me see if I can like get it to less glare. Oh, that's even more glare. Oh god. Pain. Panye. That's kind of better, I guess. Not really. Whatever. Hold on. Maybe I can just... Oh, that's... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just turning up the glare, actually. What is causing it? It's this one? I think I should just leave it. Honestly. Ugh. Rue. 2 mana, 1/2. When you play this character, you may give chosen character -2 attack until the start of your next turn. So, 2 mana, 1/2, awful stats. It comes in debuffs an enemy, so I mean you can try and run over them. And it debuffs them on your opponent's turn too, so they still can't use it to like run into your stuff. But then it just kind of sits in the board and doesn't do anything. I mean, like, good in a pinch, I suppose. I think you would only really play, like, a couple of these. I can't see you playing 4 copies of this in deck. It just doesn't do enough. Iago. 4 mana, 4/2. When this character is banished in a challenge, return this card to your hand. So it basically just keeps going into your hand. If they use a spell to get rid of it, it just goes into the graveyard. And 2 health, most things that deal damage do exactly 2 damage. So Iago is just going to be going into the graveyard a lot. Unfortunately, like, you would think it would come back in your hand a lot. It's probably going to be going into the graveyard, rather. Alistair Cree. Cray? I don't remember how you say his name. 3 mana, 2/4. When you play this character, if an opponent has an item in play, gain 1 lore. It's reliant on your opponent having items, and there are only a few decks that actually have items. So no. For the stats, I mean, I think it would have to be a 3 mana, 3/4 in order to be played. 3 mana, 2/4? Nah, it dies to... can't kill anything. Gains 1 lore, maybe? Nah. Not good. So it's Cray? Okay. Abu! 5 mana, 4/4, rush, quest for 2. See, like, cards like this might be good in a vacuum if you didn't have other cards. For example, we have a Maui. Maui is the best rush card in the game because it's a 5 mana, inkable, 6/5 with rush. So there's no world where you would ever play this above Maui. The only difference is that Maui cannot quest. He's a giant beatstick, he runs into everything and kills everything. Abu can actually stick around and quest if you want, but most of the time if a card has rush, its whole spiel is running into something and killing it. So there's no world where you would play Abu over Maui. I'm Still Here. It's a 3 mana song, so if you have a character that costs 3, they can tap themselves to play this song without paying its cost. Chosen character gets resist +2 until the start of your next turn, so it still has to resist 2 on your opponent's turn. Draw a card. Resist means that damage done to them is reduced by that amount. So this basically makes sure that something will live until the next turn, and then it also draws you a card. Since if this was a normal action, it'd be dead in the water. Like, no one would play this. But since it is a song, I could see this being played. It lets your minions live, it lets them crash into stuff without dying. Maybe. So, DJ, the number of cards you can have in this game is 4, except when stated otherwise. So, like, the main ones right now are... There are only 2. There are only 2 cards that say you can have infinite. One is Microbots, which says you can have any number of the cards named Microbots in your deck. The second is a Dalmatian Puppy, which is like 99 Dalmatians. I think it's literally just called Puppy, but it's a 2 mana, 2/3. It doesn't do anything. It has 1 lore, but you can have as many of them in the deck as you want. Unfortunately, they have not made a payoff for puppies yet. They just kind of... You can have a ton of them, but that's it. They just kind of there. Microbots actually do something, which is a lot better. They're not like rats. Oh, man. Rats in Magic are so fun. There's so much you could do with rats. Unfortunately, not much you could do with puppies. Another I'm Still Here. Training Dummy. It's the Hercules Training Dummy. So 2 mana inkable. You can tap this and pay 2. Chosen character gains bodyguard until the start of your next turn. So you could basically just keep this on your field, and then whenever you absolutely need to protect something, you can pay 2 mana, give something taunt. Maybe? But, like, I feel like there are other things that give taunt for better. But although this one does stick around, and those ones, I think, usually just get rid of themselves, but it is 4 mana total. It does stick around, though. So, is taunt that good? I don't know. Maybe, like, a very protect-heavy strategy it can work. Vanellope von Schweetz. This is a card I really want to make a deck around. 3 mana, 2/3, so I mean, it's okay stats. But, at the start of your turn, If this character is at a location, draw a card, gain 1 lore. So pretty much you always want to have this card be on a location. There are a lot of ways, especially in red, to cheat a character onto a location, and then you just draw cards. Draw cards, get a lore. It's good. It's good. I'm going to do a location deck with this in it for sure. Oh my god, it's the man, the myth, the mosquito legend, it's Pleakley. So 3 mana, 3/4, so alright stats. When you play this character, put chosen character of yours into the inkwell face down and exerted. Okay, so I mean, like, say if you have a Rue on the field, Rue's already done its job, you pretty much don't want it on the field anymore. Play Pleakley, bam, your Rue becomes an ink, and you can use it to, like, tap for more stuff. It's a ramp card. It's a ramp card, and it gets rid of your useless cards that have already done their effect on field. Yeah, no, ramp. I mean, blue already has, like, a ton of ramp, so I don't know what you would play that over. But I could see it being played. That's a good thing. But blue has, like, blue's whole identity is ramp. Has a ton. So, like, are you really willing to go -1 in order to ramp something? Maybe. I guess it depends on what you're playing. Like, if you're playing that Rue, definitely. Absolutely. Mr. Big. 4 mana, uninkable. It's a 1/1, so that's awful. But this character can't be challenged by characters with 2 attack or greater. So something literally has to have 1 attack to run into this. So Mr. Big is just going to be questing for 3 every single turn. There is a lot of removal that does exactly 1 damage. So odds are, I mean, the dream scenario is you draw Mr. Big late game, your opponent has already gotten rid of a lot of their stuff, especially a lot of their removal or their damage, and then Mr. Big just sits on the field and wins you the game because your opponent can't out it. Maybe. If it was inkable, this would be a tear. This would go on a tear for sure. But because it's uninkable, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that does damage. We got Mickey Mouse. 5 mana, 4/4. Shift 3, so it can come out on 3 on top of Mickey Mouse. I don't think there are too many good small Mickey Mouses, though. Whenever this character quests, chosen pirate character gets +2 attack, and gains, this character takes no damage from challenges this turn. So this turns the rest of your pirates into rockets. It turns them into piss missiles. It gets rid of stuff on the field. The only problem is it costs so much. 5 mana, 4/4, because I don't think you're willing to play any of the smaller Mickeys, because the smaller Mickeys just ain't too good. They're not great. So essentially you would play this by itself. In that case, it's a 5 mana, 4/4, and then you have to wait a turn before it can even do its effect. If you could shift it out, though, it can do its effect right away, which is a lot better. But unfortunately, the small Mickeys they are not up to snuff yet. Twin Fire, discard outlet. We need one. Give us a discard outlet. Cowards over at Ravensburger. Give us discard. Let us be discarding everything. I'm getting a lot better at that. Sail the Azurite Sea. 2 mana action. This turn, you may put an additional card from your hand into your inkwell face down. Draw a card. Pretty good. Because the other ramp that people were using that costed 2 was uninkable, and it was a song, so I mean you could have a character sing it, and it put the top card of your deck into your inkwell, but it did it exerted, so you couldn't tap it that turn. So on turn 2, you tap 2 to play this out. So, hold on. Turn 2, you have 1 ink, you put something in your ink, you play this, you put another thing in your ink, and if you have a 1-drop, you can play it immediately. And you get to draw a card, so maybe you do draw the 1-drop. So yeah, I think that's going to see play. Probably going to replace the other ramp for 2 that blue has. Another Mr. Litwack, another Iago, Heffalumps and Woozles. So, 2 mana song. Chosen opposing character can't quest during their turn. During their next turn, draw a card. Ooh, it's too bad Lorcana doesn't have side decks, because I could see this being like an amazing side deck card. Because there are some cards that you just want to hose. There's some cards that are just awful if they are able to quest multiple times, and this prevents them from doing that. But would you really want to have this in your main deck? I mean, it draws a card, so it at least, like, shuffles itself, like, worst case. But you do need to choose an opposing character, so... I mean, it could be good against aggro. I just don't think you would play this in your main deck. Maybe you would run, like, 1 or 2 copies. Thievery. 1 mana. Chosen opponent loses 1 lore, gain 1 lore. It's okay. It's a swing. Basically a difference of 2 lore. I don't think it's going to be played, but it's okay. I mean, in an action-heavy deck, maybe it'll see more play, just because there are a couple of things that make actions really good this set, but not me. I'm not going to be touching that card. I'm still here. Give resist. The Smee! 2 mana, 3/2. During your turn, this character gains evasive. So, while it's exerted on your opponent's turn, they can still challenge it. But on your turn, if your opponent has any evasive characters, Mr. Smee can challenge them. Is kind of the whole gimmick. I mean, Mr. Smee's alright. I could see it being in pirate decks, specifically because there is now a giant Mr. Smee that you would love to shift onto something. But the other Steel Mr. Smee, so much better. The other Mr. Smee is a 2 mana 3/3 that quests for 2. The only drawback is that it takes a damage if you don't have a captain in play. Which, I mean, like, most of the time you don't care about that anyway, so it winds up being a 2 mana 3/2 quest for 2. It's just insane. Insane value. But because there's a big Mr. Smee, I think people are going to play this card. Card Soldier's Spear. This is one of the cards that I was going to get for my self-damage deck, because I have a deck with like Mulans and Mother Gothels that pretty much the characters love being damaged. They love having damage on them, and this, for 1 mana, just stays on your field. Your damaged characters get +1 attack. And I mean, trust me, +1 attack does not seem like much, but if it's a permanent effect, it comes up surprisingly a lot. And because I was running the inferior version of this, which was 1 mana, tap it to give one of your characters +1 attack. And this just gives it +1 attack baseline, if they're damaged. But in that deck, most of the time, they are going to be damaged. Prepare your bot. 1 mana, choose 1. Ready chosen item, ready chosen robot character. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. This is definitely going to see play in item decks for sure, because there are a bunch of items you would love to be able to tap multiple times. Plus it only costs 1. So, I mean, being able to do any of those, like, big items that would love to do it multiple times for 1, that's insane. This is going to be played in a ton of item decks. Wendy Darling! Yes! This is one of the cards that I really wanted for my pirate deck. 2 mana uninkable, so, I mean, you can't ink it, but you would almost always get it out on turn 2. 1/2 in stats, which, I mean, that's not good, but it has evasive, so only characters with evasive can attack it. When you have another pirate in play, this character gets +1 attack and +1 lore. So there are a lot of pirates you play on 1 or 3. So this comes out on 2. You could play another pirate on your next turn when this is able to actually quest an attack. Bam, immediately quest for 2. So this is a very good card. It's going to see play in, I think, any red pirate deck this is going to see play in. Because you want pirates, you want to see pirates, especially with that card. Cobra Bubbles. 5 mana, 3/4, bad stats. It's a bodyguard, so I mean, that's okay. It can protect some of your stuff. Quest for 2, that's decent. 2 mana, draw a card, choose and discard a card. So it's middling stats and kind of a middling effect because you need to pay for it. Like, if it just came in and did this effect once, I think it would be decent. I mean, it doesn't say once per turn, so you could, like, if you're just not being able to do anything, you could just pay, like, 6 mana, draw 3 cards, discard 3 cards, try and fix your hand. But it's just so expensive. 5 mana, 3/4. Bodyguard's okay. I don't think it's worth that. Steel is over here. Then we got Goofy. 6 mana, 5/5, Rush Evasive. So, you know how I said that no card would ever, like, match Maui because Maui is just so good? Goofy might, but that's only if evasive characters become super relevant in the meta, because then Goofy can just come out and kill pretty much any one of them. Like that giant Tinkerbell we had earlier, that was a 5/5. Goofy can come in, on the turn it comes in, bam, kills that Tinkerbell. But I mean, it's a 6 mana uninkable, so most of the time it's just going to be sitting in your hand, doing nothing until turn 6. Unless you have a way to ramp it out. And I mean, there are a bunch of cards that do that. But I could see it being played if evasive becomes, like, super relevant in the meta. Oh yeah, listen to that fucking... Oh, the pack opening noise. Let's see, another Nick Wilde. Simba. 2 mana, 1/4. Doesn't do anything. Quest for 1. Like, there is a good shift Simba this set, but I think you would much rather play the other 2 mana Simba. It's a 2 mana, 2/3, and it has Taunt, which is just way more useful than a vanilla. I mean, it has 4 defense, so it's going to live. No matter what, it's going to live. Also has to be targeted by an evasive as well. So, yeah, so when Goofy kills something, it gets to live, because odds are your opponent does not have anything else that's evasive to kill it. Then it can just live and quest for 1 on your turn. Yeah, this Simba, maybe in like really aggro, maybe in real aggro strategies where you want the big Simba on field, because that big Simba can come in for 3 mana, play this on 2, play the other one on 3, then that Simba's crazy. If at the end of the turn, that Simba has been exerted, so it's sideways, it readies all of your other characters, so your opponent can't attack any of your other characters. It's really good. So if that card is really good and it finds a home in a very good aggro strategy, that Simba will be played. But I think people would most rather play the other one. Rafiki, 1 mana, 2/2. It's okay. Like I said, for most of the times, for 1 mana, you would rather play a 1/3, because a 2/2 dies to most stuff. But I mean, it's okay, usually if you have stuff to shift onto it. Unfortunately, all of Rafiki's shift cards are stupid expensive and uninkable, so I don't think it's going to see play. Toodles. Trash. I hate Toodles. Awful. 1 mana, 2/2, and there are no shift targets or anything. It's just a 1 mana, 2/2 that does nothing. Get out of here, Toodles. I hate you. Another location. This one is pirate themed, so 2 mana to play it, 1 cost to move something here, and it has 6 health. So keep in mind, if you have like a character and a location in play, your opponent, when they attack, can either choose the location or your character, unless stated otherwise on the card. So characters get +1 attack while here. At the start of your turn, if you have a pirate here, gain 1 lore. So most pirates are going to enjoy this card just because they like having more attack, plus you get lore for it. This is going to have a pretty big taunt for your opponent. Your opponent's going to want to get rid of this as soon as possible, which, I mean, most of the time you're trying to make sure they don't. And in terms of locations are still kind of new. There isn't really many with good effects. So this one I could see being played just because if you get a ton of stuff here, they're all super buff. What? Another Mullins, doesn't do anything without Mr. Smee. Jim Hawkins! So it's a 5 mana uninkable, it's a 5/5, but it's a shift 3, so if you have a very small Jim Hawkins, I think there's a 2 mana Jim Hawkins, I can't really remember. So this can come in 3 mana 5/5, that's pretty decent. When you play this character, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character or location. That's okay. 1 damage can come up. I would have preferred if it did 2 damage, like even if just making it a shift 4 and being able to do 2 damage, because 2 damage is just so relevant. 1 damage, sometimes it doesn't matter whatsoever. It does quest for 2 though. So I mean, if the small Jim Hawkins is decent, this card will see play. It is uninkable though, which is like, if that was inkable, for sure it would see play. Because it's uninkable, it's kind of iffy. Longboat. 2 mana uninkable. Pay 2, chosen character of yours gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So this card basically makes sure that some of your cards either are unchallengeable, or you can challenge your opponent's cards. It does cost 4 to get it going, though. So most of the time you'll play this on turn 2, don't do anything. On turn 3, you play a guy, and then on turn 4 is usually the first time you'll be able to activate this effect. You can, like, if you have a 1 cost on the field and play this for 2, then you can activate this effect on turn 3, but, like, what decks are you doing that in? Like a super aggro deck? If you're doing it in an aggro deck, you would probably not play this card at all, because you want to be playing, like, 2 1-drops that do stuff. So it's not going to, like, turn 4 is usually the turn you'll see this. Inked cards act like lands from Magic the Gathering? Yes, exactly. So any card that has the golden circle, you can just put, so you can put 1 card into your inkwell each turn. If a card does not have that golden circle around it, you cannot put it in your inkwell. So, like, this Rafiki, turn 1, you can, so like, say your hand has an Iago Rafiki, you put Iago as an ink, turn 1, tap it, play Rafiki, bam, you have a 2/2 on the field. So yeah, it's almost exactly like Magic the Gathering in that sense. It's just that lands are not their own cards. The cards themselves are the lands. Kind of like, you ever play Dragon Ball, the TCG? It's exactly like Dragon Ball, because I think that's exactly how they did it as well. But, you know, Longboat, the first turn you can actually play it is turn 4, so it's going to be a very slow card. Hey, the mascot. Legit, like, the people behind Lorcana have said that Hey is, like, their favorite card. Okay, so I thought it was like a consumable pool that went away as you used it. No. As soon as a card is in your inkwell... Is there any card that gets rid of ink? No. There's no card that gets rid of ink. So as soon as a card is in your inkwell, you tap it and use it, but then your next turn it untaps, just like Magic the Gathering. So that's why ramp is so important, because ramp in blue... Sure, it may put stuff in your ink pool that's, like, used and you can't use it this turn, but your next turn, bam, you have even more ink to use. Let's see, Hey. 2 mana, 2/2, when you play this character, exert chosen opposing item. So it requires your opponent to have an item, and it requires the item to not do anything if it's exerted. During your turn, this character gains evasive. It's Hey. You know, I don't think Hey is really that good. Usually, Hey cards are not that good. I think there's only been 1 that's ever been playable. Safe and Sound. 2 mana, uninkable. Chosen character of yours can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. This is good. This is essentially like... Think of it like Longboat, except Longboat immediately. And it's not even like gives a character evasive, it's just straight up your card cannot be challenged. So if you absolutely need something to live, you're going to want to play this card. I think you wouldn't play it at 4 copies, because 4 copies you want to see it every game in the starting hand. You'd probably play it either 2 or 3, and then just protect your stuff. If you chain this together multiple times, I think that would be devastating, just not being able to do stuff. It's like green in MTG. I hate green decks, man. I mean, yeah, blue is pretty much green in Magic the Gathering. Except it's kind of like blue is kind of like a weird mix between green and white. I think white is the color that cares most about enchantments. I mean, a lot of colors have enchantments, but from what I remember, white had like the most. The Other Flaversham! 2 mana, 1/1, quest for 3. So, I mean, it's going to die to literally everything, but if it quests twice, it's done its job. It gets you 6 lore. I mean, that's like more than a fourth of what you need to win the game. So if she can quest twice, you're looking good. And we got Helping Hand, 1 mana. Chosen character gains support this turn, draw a card. It's uninkable, though. If this was inkable, this would definitely see play. But support is just not a very good attribute to have for a lot of cards. I mean, it does help to get rid of stuff, but, like, if a chosen character gains support, you have to have 2 characters on the board for support to even matter at all. So if you don't have 2 characters on board, this is 1 mana draw a card, which would be okay. 1 mana draw a card is decent, but, like, there are a lot of other cards that do that. and they do better stuff. Come on. Come on. Delicious, delicious cardboard. Okay, let's see. Michael Darling, Jumbo Pop, Rue, Iago, Alistair Cray, Mullins, Myrtle, Diablo. Okay, so this is a very important card. So 1 mana, 0/1. So I mean, like, not great stats whatsoever. But when this character is banished, you may draw a card. That's not why this... Well, I mean, this card is super relevant because in this game... so another thing that I haven't mentioned is how you go about building decks in this game. You can choose 2 colors. So, like, you can have any combination of the 2 colors in your deck, but you can only have 2 colors. This is relevant because there's a card in not Magic, I was about to say Magic. There's a green Diablo card that costs 3. It's uninkable, but it can shift onto a different Diablo you have if you discard an action. So, this is relevant because either your opponent gives you a card by challenging it when it's exerted, or literally you play it down. On turn 2, you play your other Diablo that also has evasive. That Diablo's effect is, when that Diablo is exerted, every time your opponent draws a card, you draw an equal number of cards. So it's super good. People have to use any way to get rid of that they can. But that's why this is so relevant. This is either your opponent is forced to give you a card, or your opponent is forced to give you cards because of the other Diablo. So this is definitely like any green purple deck, slamming 4 of these in immediately. That's a no-brainer choice. David, 3 mana, 3/3, decent stats. Well, you have a character named Nani in play. This character gains 2 lore. So it's going to be a 3 mana, 3/3 quest for 3, but you need a Nani, and I don't think there are many good Nanis. I think there's like 2, and they each cost like, I think one costs 4, one costs 5, and they don't really do anything, unfortunately. Go Tomago, Darting Dynamo. 2 mana, 2/2 with an evasive, so evasive makes this infinitely better because of the bad stats. When you play this character, you may pay 2 to gain lore equal to the damage on chosen opposing character. Okay, so this is a massive swing card. So essentially, if your opponent has something gigantic that you've been whittling at on their field, it has like 5 damage on it, even 4 or 3 damage. You play this, pay an extra 2, bam, 3 lore swing immediately. And don't get me wrong, like 3 lore, that matters. Like, that can absolutely make or break games. I've seen a ton of games go to like 20 to 17 lore. Like, very close. So, that 3, definitely going to come up. Ooh, excellent. Moana. So this is another card that I've really wanted for the pirate deck. So, 7 mana, 6/5. So even then, it's kind of like alright stats, but shift 5. So 5 mana, 6/5, pretty good. When you play this character, you may move any number of your characters to the same location for free. Gain 1 lore for each character you moved. So this comes in, so like most lands, you have to pay to actually move characters there. No. Moana doesn't give a shit about that. Moana comes in, grabs all of your characters, even if it goes to a location that doesn't matter or doesn't have an effect. You gain lore equal to as many characters as you moved, and a lot of those locations care about things being there. Especially some that, like, there are some that, like, I think the new Treasure Island location deals damage at the start of your turn based on the number of characters there. So Moana, move all your stuff to that location. On the start of your turn, you're going to start pumping out damage to everything on their board. As long as it doesn't have ward, of course. But yeah, no, Moana, definitely going to play that. Absolutely. Alice. 3 mana uninkable, 1/4 with ward, so ward makes it a lot better. That means it can't be chosen. Whenever this character quests, another chosen character of yours gets +1 ward and gains +1 lore and gains ward until the start of your next turn. So things are just going to start running into this immediately as soon as you start questing, but it makes sure that other characters you have cannot be targeted. I'm not sure if people are going to play this, but it's giving something else one lore by itself, I think would be playable. Giving it one and ward, people are going to try. People are going to try the card. I just realized I put Myrtle in the blue pile. No. That's not how this works. Okay. Come on. There we go. Lead the way. 2 mana, your characters get +2 attack this turn. It requires you to have a bunch of characters on the field. It requires your opponent's characters to be exerted. I don't see this card being played. If it was give 2, draw a card, maybe. But if it's just 2 attack, I don't think so. Nick Wilde. We already saw that. Simba. We already saw that. Rafiki. Toodles. Fucking hate you. Galactic Council Chamber. So it's another location. 3 mana, 1/7. And it gets you a lore at the start of every turn. While you have an alien or robot character here, this location cannot be challenged. Okay, so even if you have a character here and you don't quest with that character, there's essentially no way for your opponent to get rid of this unless they have direct damage. It's decent. It requires you to be playing like an alien or robot heavy deck. Luckily, there are a bunch of good aliens now, especially with like those John Silvers. There are a ton of John Silvers in Steel, and that's really good. I could see this being played. 3 mana, 1/7 for 1. I mean, the health is a lot. The health, like, having 7 is really good for a location because it doesn't immediately die to Maui. So at the very least, this can live a turn pretty much always, and then your next turn you can ideally move an alien or a robot there so it can't be challenged anymore. Kind of sad you have trouble with VR because there's a game called Drunkards and Tankards, and it's really fun. TCG, similar to Hearthstone, but with some really cool mechanics and interesting cards. So you're saying I literally have to have VR in order to play that game? Oh man, VR makes me so dizzy though. I mean, like, plus I would have to get VR. You want me to spend $200 to play a card game? Wait, I just did that with the Lestrals. You want me to pay another $200 to play a card game? Outrageous. Incredibly outrageous. The game is free, but the equipment is not, DJ. But the equipment is not! Let's see. Magic Carpet. 3 mana, 1/3, quest for 3. It's a weenie. It's a weenie that dies to most 2-cost cards. So you can usually put this down, quest for 3, and then it's going to die. I mean, if you can, like, give it ward to protect it from targeting spells, or if you have taunt, it becomes a lot better. Ideally, you can quest for it with it multiple times. But I just don't think it's worth it. Donald Duck. This is another card that I really want to try. Unfortunately, you need a very specific type of character with it. So, 3 mana, 2/3. While you have a captain character in play, this character gains 2 lore. So it's a 3 mana, 2/3, quest for 3. Which is 3 mana, quest for 3, pretty good. We very rarely see that. I mean, like Magic Carpet, one of the very few 3 mana, 3 lore, but it's a weenie. But like, the difference of 1 stat is crazy to me. Like, the fact that I'm considering playing this card, but not this card because of like the difference in attack, wild. But I mean, it's true. Like, having 1 attack basically means it does nothing in retaliation. At the very least, 2 attack can deal with stuff or can whittle stuff down enough for it to matter. So, like, play Donald Duck. There are a ton of captains in this set for either 2 mana or 4 mana. Donald is pretty much always going to be active and be able to quest for 3. Let's see. Dale. I don't think I opened this Dale. 4 mana, 3/4. When you play this character, you may put the top 3 cards of your deck into your discard to give chosen character -3 attack until the start of your next turn. So this Dale is actually pretty good. I mean, see, like I'm saying, DJ, if you have it, like, they need to give us some form of discard outlet, because this card would be broken. You say it would basically turn your deck into a Lightsworn deck. Did I hit Wolf? Did I hit Wolf? Did I hit Wolf? Damn it! I drew Wolf! Fuck! That is how it would be. But it debuffs an opposing character for both your turn and their turn. So this actually has relevant effects, even if there's no discard father, so that's good. Plus, you can shift it onto Chip and Dale. I think this is the primary target that you want for that Chip and Dale card. Another Goofy, but this one's not shiny. Ooh, yes, this is a card that I've been wanting to pull. Calhoun. This was an MVP in the sealed tournament. 2 mana, 3/2, so decent stats. It has resist 1, so it's essentially a 3/3. Something has to do 3 damage to it to kill it. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. So this is when you draw the card that it needs to be. For real, drawing Wolf is the worst feeling ever in any card game. I don't think there has been a more gamble-heavy deck than Lightsworn. It's like, you can kind of say that Tear Lament was a gamble deck. It wasn't really. Pretty much any time you were milling to your graveyard, you were doing something. Like, I mean, there are other gambling decks, but to me, Lightsworn is like the epitome of those decks. But yeah, no, Calhoun, definitely I'm going to be making a red steel pirate deck. Even though Calhoun is not a captain or a pirate, it's just so good, I'm going to be playing it. And then another Heffalumps and Woozles. I need to, like, look through this. I need to, like, check all of the rarities I've gotten. The dice deck is very funny. I mean, like, it's very funny, but it's not good. Dice deck and coin deck, neither of them are good, let's be real. Gadget! Most people's first cartoon crush. It's insane how many people, like, this was their first cartoon crush. Not mine, though. Actually, who was my first cartoon crush? I'm trying to think now. I'll think about this, I'll get back to you. It was not Gadget, though, but 2 mana, 2/3, it's basic. Those are like average stats for a 2 mana card. It's alright. If the shift version of her is really good, then people are going to play this card, just so they'll have a small version of her. Another Dale. The Carpenter. 2 mana, 1/1, so not good. When this character is banished, exert chosen character. So, essentially, this only works really well if your opponent has 2 creatures on board, and then your Carpenter has to be exerted, and they somehow have to misplay and hit your card without questing with their other card. Because literally, they can just quest with the card and then just use their other card to hit into this. So this card essentially does nothing. That's never going to see play. Heffalumps and Woozles. Kakamora! This is probably going to see play, especially in, well, I mean, only in pirate decks, because it only works with pirates. 2 mana, 1/3, so I mean, like I said, 2 mana, 2/3 is like the baseline for a 2-drop. 1/3 is just like, eh. But when you play this character, chosen pirate gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So this ensures that your characters are going to live, like for sure. So that's definitely going in the pirate deck, or at least I'm going to try for it. Also, I definitely put Calhoun into the wrong pile. That's going to happen a couple times. Galactic Council Chamber, that's a steal. Hot Potato! 3 mana, steal action. Deal 2 damage to a chosen character, or banish a chosen item. I mean, the choice is nice, but I think for the most part, you would probably want to play, what's the card? Benja? Because Benja is a 3 mana, 2/3 that lets you destroy an item, and then it quests for 2. Plus it has 2 attacks, so most of the time when something attacks into it, it's going to be doing 2 damage to it. But I mean, the choice is nice, I guess. Steel already has a ton of damaging options, so I don't know why you would play this over a different one. This basically is like Let the Storm Rage On, except inkable and doesn't draw you a card. I think that's the best way to explain it. The Islands I Pulled from the Sea. It's a 3-mana song, so anything that costs 3 can just sing this for free. Search your deck for a location, reveal that card to all players, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck. So if you absolutely need a location, this will get you it. It is uninkable, though. But it's a song, which is a benefit. So, I mean, being uninkable and then being a song kind of cancel each other out, so it's just neutral. So then, the effect is the only thing that matters. So search your deck for a location, put it in your hand. Decent. Decent. And location decks are going to want to play this if they have room for it. And I mean, most of them are going to be tight for room, especially pirates, especially pirate location decks. I think you're only going to be able to play 1 or 2 copies of this max if you're even able to fit it in. So it can be sung for free, basically. Yes. So the only thing you have to keep in mind, so like, say you have Dale on the field, you turn it sideways, so that means Dale is vulnerable to being hit by stuff, but you played your card for free, and you can use that 3 mana to do anything else you want, which is like the main pull of song cards. Like, that's why songs are so unique in this game, because they let you play stuff for free. Another Microbots. Brotherlight really wants to play a Microbot deck, so I'm probably going to set those aside for him. Can you explain challenging, please? It works almost exactly like Yu-Gi-Oh! So there's no life points. Life points don't matter. There is no life. Your only goal is to get to 20 lore. There is ways to, like, remove lore, but it's not like you can attack your opponent's lore and make them lose it or anything. There is only, like, attacking stuff. So, like, so, if things are upright, they cannot be challenged. If things are sideways, they can be challenged. So then this Jasmine would attack into this 3/4. She would take 3 damage. The 3 damage stays on her, unless you have ways to heal it. So it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the damage she takes doesn't matter and she heals back to 5. No. She takes 3 damage, that stays on her. If something deals 2 damage to her, eventually she will die. If things are of, like, that's pretty much all you need to know, because, like, for the most part, if something is like a 3/3 attacks into a 3/3, they're just going to trade, stuff like that. Yes, it works like Magic the Gathering. Yes, exactly. What did I had cards. There they are. I was like, where did I put those? This is a card that a lot of people have been very excited for. So it's a 2 mana, uninkable. It costs 6 mana to move something here. It has 7 life. When you move a character here from a location, you can banish this location to gain 3 lore, draw 3 cards. So this is very relevant because in the last set that we had, there's a red card that costs 1. So there's a 1-cost card that basically says you can move characters there for free, and then you can exert them to move onto a different location for free. So this basically is just, it relies on that card, obviously, because you don't want to pay 6 to move something here. Can you have multiple locations? You can have as many locations out as you want. That's the thing, yeah. So, like, if you have multiple Sugar Rush Speedways, obviously, it doesn't do anything on its own, so your opponent is probably going to leave them alone. And then you play that one red drop Speedway that lets you move stuff here for free. Bam! Get 3 lore, draw 3 cards. Move another thing to the other one. Bam! Gain 3 lore, draw 3 cards. So, like, that's why this is very threatening, because all of a sudden, your opponent could have ways to move here for 3. They get a ton of card advantage. They gain 6 lore, which is more than a fourth of what you need to win. So that's why people have been so excited about this card specifically. And I can see this card definitely seeing play, and people are going to try and win with that for sure. And here comes my funny Moana deck, baby. There are a ton of Moana cards, like a fuck ton of Moana cards. You could very well play a Moana deck. It would probably focus on locations. So this is the Shift Gadget. So it's a 6 mana 3/6, that's awful, but 4 mana 3/6 is pretty damn good. While you have 3 or less items in play, you may pay 1 less to play Inventor characters. So this is just, it makes all of your other Inventor characters cheap to play. 3 or more. So you have to have 3 items in play. So Well, how much did the other gadget cost? The other gadget costed 2. So that means turn 1, you play an item. Turn 2, you play gadget. Turn 3, you play an item. Turn 4, you play this gadget. Turn 5, you have to play an item for this to activate. So the earliest this can really activate is turn 5. And odds are it's not going to be in that order because that's like the ideal situation. Just moving cards from location to location to gain lore sounds funny to me. There are cards that also gain you lore whenever characters move between locations. I think there's a racer card. Whenever she changes location, she gains 1 lore, which is very funny. And I mean, it definitely will come up. And then we got a shiny Iago. Alright. We're opening. Oh my god, it's been an hour and a half, and I think I've gone through... Wait, how many is that? I think that's like 8? 9? Something like that. Ah! This is the other Moana card that I've been wanting! It's an uncommon. No, this is a common. This is a common, and this is literally the first one we pulled, which is insane. So it's a 1 mana 3/2, crazy stats for a 1 mana card. The drawback, this character can't challenge unless you have a captain character in play. But you can still quest. So this comes out for 1 mana. Odds are on 2 mana you have a captain, because there are a ton of captains now that we have this set. But even if you don't have a captain, she's still going to quest for 1, and then anything that runs into her either on turn 1 or turn 2, probably going to die. Imagine you move 7 creatures between locations like twice to casually get 14 lore with that 1 Moana card. Exactly, like, I mean, you have to have at least 10... I think you have to have 10 mana to play 2 of those Moanas. But yeah, no, in the ideal situation, that is what happens. I mean, odds are your board would get wiped by different board wipe spells that are in the game, or like different removal spells. So having 7 creatures on the board very rarely happens, but it can happen. I think that's like the most ideal. So Moana, good card. I'm going to play it in Pirates for sure. Another Azurite C, card ramp, Litwack, Iago, Heffalumps, King Hubert. It's a 3 mana 3/4. So I mean, like, it's a vanilla. It doesn't do anything. Decent stats though. Lose the Way. It's incredibly gimmicky deck, and that's all I need to try it. I mean, yeah, man, do it. Do it. I love seeing an experiment. Like, the biggest pain that I've experienced in this entire, like, playing Lorcana is the fact that they got rid of that online client, because I loved deck building. Deck building and experimenting with shit, that is my jam. I love messing with stuff and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And them getting rid of that, got rid of that, because the only time I am able to actually experiment with stuff is IRL. And I don't want to experiment with stuff IRL because I want to win! I want to win IRL, so I just go with, like, the stuff that I know is good. So it's... I can't wait for Alestrals to come out and give us that goddamn online client. I'm going to be deck building like a goddamn madman. You don't understand! Oh. Deck building is honestly the hardest part for me. It's so fun for me. So, see, like, deck building in Lorcana or, like, Alestrals, way easier. Extremely easy, because there's a limited amount of sets. There's like 5 sets for Lorcana. They're going to have 4 sets for Alestrals. But, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, oh my god, you have to know what this card does, you have to know all the cards that it can fetch, you have to know what all of those cards do, and if they can fetch anything or do anything. It's like a weird fucking solitaire thing that you play by yourself. Like, impossible to deck build in Yu-Gi-Oh! Without, like, seeing someone else's, like, deck build first to see, like, how everyone else is doing it. Then you can get ideas on, like, what to do or, like, what direction to go. And even then, you're only changing, like, a few cards here and there. It's not like you're building the deck from the ground up. That's why I really like Lorcana, because you just build the deck from the ground up, try to see if it functions properly. Let's see. Lose the Way. 2 mana, exert chosen character, so you're able to attack it and stuff. Then, you may choose and discard a card. If you do, the exerted character can't ready at the start of their next turn. So it prevents something from questing if you discard a card, or just for 2 mana, it lets you challenge the person, unless they have ward, in which case you can't target them. Like I'm saying, discard. Give us a discard outlet. Give us discard. It would be so good. It would make so many of these cards playable. Brain just can't comprehend the start for me. You're great at editing decks, but starting them from scratch is so hard. It's in any TCG. I mean, that's fair. I mean, some people just aren't deck builders by nature. I love it. I love experimenting with it and seeing what works, but doing that really requires an online client, because you're not going to be able to sit across from someone and be like, hey bro, let me try this deck, but making minor changes in between every single time we battle. Oh, also I want to face you like 10 times in a row. And also, can you play 10 different decks each time I do it to make sure like this deck can stand the test against multiple things in the meta? It's just not feasible. It's not feasible whatsoever. It's sad. Megabot. 2 mana uninkable. This item enters play exerted, so you can't activate its effect right away, so you can activate it on turn 3. Tap this, banish it. Either banish a chosen item, or banish a chosen damaged character. Green really cares about damaged characters, and there are not many ways to actually start getting that damage on characters. But just through playing cards and playing minions, you're going to be able to eventually get damage on something. So this is it's basically just a removal that's sitting on the board waiting to happen, and then it just so happens to be able to get rid of items if your opponent happens to have them. Let's see. Owl. It's a 3 mana 3/3. It's a pirate, but it's in yellow. I think yellow doesn't have too many pirates. I mean, it has Piglet, which is one of the best, but not too many others. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen opposing character gets -1 attack until the start of your next turn. So it's a debuff, and it's a lingering debuff, which is very annoying. I had to fight this in sealed, and it made my Calhoun next to useless, because having 2 attack couldn't get rid of anything, and Calhoun wants to get rid of stuff. So I have very bad experience with this card. I'm not sure how playable it is, though. I don't think it is. Ooh, another gadget. Okay, so we're getting a multitude of those. Super rare Jafar, 5 mana, 3/4. So it's not shiftable. So it's just a 5 mana, 3/4. That's awful stats. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, deal 1 damage to chosen character. So a lot of green and steel want to be paired together, because there's a lot of steel cards that deal just 1 damage to stuff, and there's a lot of green cards that care about stuff having damage on them. Will this see play? I think it's too expensive, but maybe. I mean, every time something's put into your inkwell, so if you're playing blue and you're playing that card that lets you put 2 things into the inkwell, this just all of a sudden deals 2 damage to something. It's alright. It requires some setup, and I mean, you have to be on turn 5 or turn 6 to do that. But, I mean, dealing damage stuff is alright. And then a shiny thievery. Have I done tourneys for this game? I have played in tournaments for this game. I have not played in any of, like, the big name tournaments for, like, the big prizes. Usually because those are in, like, Austin, Texas, and then I think there was one in, like, Las Vegas, but nothing that I was able to actually, like, fly out for, because I couldn't get time off work this year, unfortunately. Next year, I probably am, just because, like, I'll be able to see when the events are, and I'll be able to get time off work to go to them. But yeah, no, like, that's also one of the reasons why I want to be able to deck test for this game so much, because I want to have a good deck. I just want to have a good deck so that I can go to one of those tourneys, get one of those fucking super rare cards, laugh, cry, get $2,000 by selling it on eBay. You know, the typical stuff you get when you win in card games. I mean, except for Yu-Gi-Oh!, because let's be real, there's no prizing in Yu-Gi-Oh! You get a rubber playmat, yay! Your top 8 in the entire world playmat, yay! God, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a fucking joke sometimes, man. Let's see. Sour Bill. 3 mana, 2/3. When you play this character, chosen character gets -2 during this turn. It's okay. It's a swing card. Quest for 2. I don't think it'll be played. Another Rue. Sisu. Sisu has decent stats. It's 5 mana, 3/6, Challenger 2. So Challenger, whenever this character would attack something, either a location or a character, it gets +2 attack. So on attack, this becomes a 5 mana, 5/6. On defense, it's just a 3/6 though. But it does quest for 2, which is relevant. Heathcliff. 4 mana, 3/3, so bad stats, but it has Ward. I don't think it'll be played just because any 2-drop can probably get rid of it. Like I said, most 2-drops are either 3/2s or 2/3s. If it's a 3/2, Heathcliff just dies to a 2-drop, which is very sad. You can attack locations? What? Wait, what? You thought the health was just for jokes? I said that before. Hold on. So, like, say you have... This is a good example. So, say you have a Heathcliff and you have a Galactic Council Chambers on the field, and your opponent has 5 damage on the field. They can either attack Council Chamber to deal 5 damage out of the 7. It would have 2. And then, or they can just attack Mullins if it's sideways, and then they can get rid of Mullins completely. But yeah, no. So, it's not like locations have to be on the field. There have to be a way to get rid of it, otherwise you just gain lore for free. Like, if you just gain lore for free and there's no way for your opponent to deal with it, that's unfair. Well, I mean, this one technically does, because if you have an alien or robot, they can't challenge it. So it's just getting you a lore every turn, and there's nothing your opponent can do. But, I mean, for the most part, yes. They have to, like, make a decision of, like, attacking your stuff, questing, or attacking your characters. Which is why locations have been becoming so good, because it forces your opponent into a very strange situation where they have to choose what to attack or what to hold back on. Kakamora gives a pirate evasive, good. Mr. Arrow, the man who died. It's a 2-mana, 1/3 essentially, because it has resist 1, and a quest for 2. It's bad. It dies to other 2-drops, which are 3/2s. And then it doesn't even kill them in return. Tuk Tuk, 5 mana, 6/5. It's a vanilla, doesn't do anything. It's a big beater. It exists. Another Kakamora. It's a 4 mana, uninkable, 5/2, and it has Rush. So, I mean, it's cheaper than Maui, so it can come out. It basically just runs in and kills itself, because it only has 2 life, 2 toughness, 2 health, whatever the hell you call it in whatever game you play. It's cheaper than Maui, so if you can't get to turn 5, it's alright, I suppose. I definitely think people would just prefer to play Maui, though. Whoop. Another Hey. Ooh, Hades. This card also wrecked me during a game in the Limited. So 6 mana, uninkable. It's a 3/4 that quests for 3. During an opponent's turn, whenever one of your other characters is banished, gain 2 lore. So it really disincentivizes your opponent from attacking your creatures, because otherwise you're just going to gain a ton of lore for it. It's alright. It's super expensive, though. Super expensive, and by turn 6, most of your opponents will have a way to just deal direct damage to a 4 health minion, so odds are he's just going to die immediately. But if he sticks around, he'll probably win you the game. I like the But Maui stream we have with Rush characters. I mean, yeah, it's like, that's the problem with, like, Lorcana has, like, a very bad habit of printing red cards that have Rush, but because Maui exists, Maui was printed in the very first set, so Maui's been around since the beginning. So, because Maui's been around since the beginning, every Rush character that comes out is just compared to Maui. It's like, is it as good as Maui? No? Okay, why would I play this instead of Maui? And Lorcana seems to, like, think that the solution is to print even more Rush cards for red along that stat line, and it's like, no, stop doing that. It's just going to get compared, and it's not going to be compared favorably. This is the payoff for Microbots. So this, my brother's deck is coming together. So it's a 9 mana, 6/10. Have I played Plants vs. Zombies Heroes before? Is that the first-person shooter one? No, I think that's Garden Warfare. I played Garden Warfare. I don't think I've played Heroes before. No. Yeah, no, then I haven't played it. But yeah, no, this is the payoff for Microbots. So, 9 mana, 6/10, so that's awful stats, but Shift 6. So a 6 mana, 6/10 is amazing. You may play items named Microbots for free, so that 2 mana just becomes a free 0 mana, debuff your creatures. Whenever this character quests, draw a card for each opposing character with 0 attack. So the whole gimmick of this is to put a bunch of Microbots on the field, have yokai, so have yokai quest, When yokai quests, you draw like 3-4 cards immediately. I'd say that's a solid payoff. Being able to just draw cards, always good. That said, you have to play a ton of microbots. I'm not sure if my brother's going to get that deck to work. He's going to try. He's definitely going to try. Heroes is the mobile Plants vs. Zombies has a TCG? Huh? That's weird. I would have never expected that. +4 hand advantage and yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, that's why my brother really wants to try out that card and try to break it. I think it makes a lot of cards in your hand dead draws. But I mean, there are ironically, I think this card is very good if you don't play any microbots. Like, there's, for instance, there's a yellow song card. The yellow song is like 4 mana, but you can sing it, obviously, and it debuffs all of your opponent's creatures by 3 attack. So it's like, just play that card, debuff everything by 3 attack. That way you don't have to go -3 and play 3 microbots on the field. So instead of a 4-5 card combo that draws you 3 cards, it's instead a 2 card combo that draws you 3 cards, assuming your opponent has 3 things on the board with 3 or less attack. But I mean, I think that's way better. There's just different stuff that you can do with these cards, and I think that's what's interesting about it. Because it's like, sure, your first instinct would be to play this with microbots, but if you play it with stuff other than microbots, let's see. 2 mana song, so a creature with cost 2 can sing this. Return a character card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. So this is just nice recursion for probably aggro pieces or different cards that you definitely need. But the funny microbot spam. I know, people love microbots, people are going to spam microbots. I'm just saying, I think that card is way better if you find a way to debuff stuff without microbots. It's like, you could even play that card with, not Dale, with this Dale. It's like, this Dale gives something -3 attack. It's like, if you play yokai, the next turn you play this Dale, debuff something, quest with yokai, you're drawing a card because of that. Instead of playing a microbot, and then you have to have already 2 microbots on the field for it to debuff something by 3 attack. Because microbot only debuffs attack based on the number of microbots in play. What's the max deck limit? So your deck has to have at least 60 cards. Wait, is it 60 cards? I think it's 60 cards. My brain is not working right now. Hold on. It's been so long. I've literally just had my decks together. I haven't had to make another new deck in a long time. Hold on. Lorcana deck size limit. Okay, yeah, no. There is no maximum deck size. But the minimum is 60. Imagine 4 yokai, 56 microbots. Yeah, no, that would be insane. But, like, you definitely don't want to play yokai on 9. So you at the very least have to play 8 yokai and play the 4 smaller yokai in order to shift this out early. Let's see. Oh, so this is a different gadget. So it's a 3 mana 1/4. Whenever you play an item, this character gets +1 lore this turn. I mean, that's alright. So, like, say this is out on turn 3. On turn 4, you play 2 or 3 items. This gets 2 or 3 more lore. So it would quest for 3, 4, 5, depending on how many items you manage to get out in a turn. It's alright. I think it's a little bit of a weenie. I'm averse to weenies because I'm a red player. Red player have high attack, me smash. So I'm used to just being able to smash things. Let's see. White Rose, it's a bad goat. Essentially, it's a 3 mana 3/3. When you play it, you gain a lore. I say a bad goat because a goat, I think it's the second set it came out. Basically, goat is 4 mana uninkable, and it's a 4/4, or is it 3/4? I forget. Its main thing, when it comes into play, and when it leaves field, you gain a lore. So Goat gets you 2 lore, White Rose gets you 1 lore. So I mean, like, it's inkable though. That's a plus side. Dawson, 4 mana, 3/4, bad stats. Quest for 2, eh. Markowski. So it's a 4 mana 3/2 with evasive, so that explains the bad stats, and it quests for 2. But most things will deal 2 damage to it to just kill it. Because, I mean, evasive is good. Maybe, like, late game, this card would be really good because your opponent doesn't have stuff to get rid of it, and then you just quest for 2 every turn. But I think there's better stuff you could be doing. DJ, did you just say your name is Markowski? Is that your first name? I don't think this man's has a last name, so I'm just going to assume his first and last name is Mark and Owski. No, Dawson. Oh, Dawson. Oh, interesting. Interesting. What's your last name, your address, and your social security? And also the numbers on your credit card, if you don't mind me asking. That would be really dope of you to share that publicly. You know, just a thought. Just a casual little thought. Hey, maybe. Don't actually, please. Kohut. So it's a 2 mana, 2/3. Basic. Another Smee. LeBlanc, TBD. Oh, John Silver. This card, I'm not sure how to evaluate this card. I want to say it's decent, but I mean, that was in sealed when it was decent. So I'm not sure if this will be played in constructed. Basically, 4 mana uninkable. It's a 2/3, or 2/4, so 4 toughness will live most stuff, or at least most stuff right away. Whenever this character quests, you can deal 1 damage to another chosen character of yours. If you do, ready that character, but they can't quest for the rest of the turn. So, like, in an aggro strategy, you play something, it quests, you quest with John Silver, you get to ready that character, so that character can't be challenged. But, I mean, it takes damage. Well, you don't really care about the damage because it gets to live another turn. Kind of hard to evaluate. I think it was, if a lot of playability in Lorcana comes down to, is the card inkable? Like, if this card was inkable, it would be really good. Since it's not inkable, I think it's just average. Which, like, being inkable is definitely a make or break in the card. If a card is uninkable, it has to do something really good to make up for it. Prepare your bot. Ready an item, ready chosen robot. That's going to be played in item decks. Genie. 4 mana uninkable. It's a 2/4 with evasive. When you play this character, draw a card. This is just bad rabbit. So, they made a bunch of Merlin cards. Merlin, when it comes in and when it leaves the field, it does something. So Merlin Goat gets you a lore when it comes in, gets you a lore when it leaves the field. Merlin Rabbit, 4 mana, 2/2. Sure, it doesn't have evasive, but when it comes in, it draws you a card. When it leaves the field, it draws you a card. So Genie is just a worse... Come on, camera. Come on. Focus. Focus. I think it's focusing on something else, but whatever. So it's just worse. It's just worse than that other card. Scar. 5 mana uninkable. It's a 4/2. When you play this character, deal 2 damage to chosen character of yours to deal 2 damage to another chosen character. So this is a song on legs. Because in the... I think either in the first or the second set, there's a song that they made. It's 2 mana, inkable. Deal 2 damage to a chosen character of yours to deal 2 damage to chosen character of theirs. They basically just made that cost 3 more, made it uninkable, but you get a 4/2 body with it. I don't think it's worth it, just because you have to have stuff on the board in the first place, and Red already has stuff that costs 5 that just gets rid of stuff wholesale from the board. I think Madame Medusa is the grade A example, because it's a 5 mana 4/4 that gets rid of an opposing creature that with attack 3 or less. And there's a ton of stuff that have 3 or less attack, and they might have like a gigantic ass. But 3 attack, it gets rid of a lot of stuff. And I just think this is just unfavorable in comparison. Like, I think I would just rather play the song that costs 2 and you can ink it, rather than play this card that just sits in my hand until turn 5. Then another Mullins. Come on, where are my legendaries? What are the legendaries? I don't think I've pulled another one. Usually each set of Lorcana gives us 2 legendaries of each color. I need to look up, like, the set list to just, like, make sure that I haven't accidentally just passed over one, not paying attention. Rue, Sisu, Heathcliff, Hercules. Not good. It's basically a 4 mana 2/4, which is awful stats, and then when it challenges, it gets +2 attack. So, only when it challenges, it becomes a 4 mana 4/4, which is a decent card. So, literally, there are other cards that are 4 mana 4/5s. You would play that over Hercules, most of the time. Like, it's crazy that Hercules is worse than a vanilla in many ways. The Walrus. Like, I would rather play the Walrus over Hercules, because it's a 4 mana 3/6. It has 1 more attack, 2 more health, so it can live stuff. It can live being attacked multiple times, and then it just hits stuff multiple times. Mosquito Bite. So this is like, a lot of green cards care about there being damage on opposing characters, and this is like the first card that they've given green that just does a damage. so like if you pair it with what was it? Was it the... Oh no, it was the Megabot, wasn't it? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's Megabot. So it's like on turn 3, when Megabot readies itself, you can 1 mana, play Mosquito Bite, ping something for 1 damage, use Megabot to get rid of their thing. Plus, there are a ton of other cards that, like, especially in green. Green loves having damage on stuff. So, like, even though Mosquito Bite is, like, doesn't seem good, I think it's surprisingly decent in green, because green just cares about having damage on stuff for so much stuffs. I don't know what I'm even saying anymore. Hey, yo, what's up, Space Lord? How you doing? How's life over in the Floridian? Over in the Floridian... I was gonna say Glades. I'm pretty sure the Floridian Glades actually exist. I was trying to, like, make up something, but I think that actually happens to, you know, happen. Monterey Jack. 4 mana, 0/7, quest for 2. It's just a vanilla, doesn't do anything. It can live, like, 2 hits, but, like, you would much rather just have cards that actually do something than just sit there and take a beating. Sure, it can live something and then it can probably quest twice, so you'll get 4 lore for it, but you could get 4 lore for a ton of other cards. Let's see. A different Sisu. So it's a 4 mana 3/3. Whenever this character quests, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a dragon character, put it in your hand and repeat this effect. Otherwise, put it on either the top or bottom of your deck. So it doesn't do anything on play. When it quests, you do that. I don't think there's... Like, there are a couple of cards that love having a ton of dragons in your deck, but there just aren't a lot of dragons. Like, there's a couple of Maleficents in her dragon form that cost like 9. Most of the dragons are probably going to be different variations of Sisu herself. So I don't think this is going to see play. Like, in the future, if there's a ton more dragons, she's definitely going to... This is going to be a sleeper card. This is going to be a card that comes out now, it's going to be trash, and then in 5 sets where everyone's forgotten about it and we have a ton of dragons, then it's going to actually be relevant. But I don't think until then it is. And then we got a Ben. Goddamn Ben. You're the worst part of that movie. Worst part of that movie. Treasure Planet would be God tier if it weren't for Ben. Come on. I am struggling opening this pack. There we go. Alright. Gold coin. Yokai. So this is probably the target that you would want for the big yokai. It's just a 1 mana 2/2, so middling stats. It's okay for a 1-drop. Usually I think this would be a lot better if it was a 1/3. That way it could live stuff, because a lot of damage spells deal 2 exactly. But you could play this on like turn 5, turn 6, turn it into the big yokai. That could be relevant. Again, it's just a 1 mana 2/2. Doesn't really do much besides that. Genie, 3 mana 4/3, so decent stats, but it's just a beater, does nothing. Stitch, 2 mana 1/3. For 1 mana, this character gets 1 attack this turn. So this is an interesting card because this is not a once per turn. So essentially, like, you play this out in turn 2. On turn 3, you could theoretically spend all 3 mana to buff this up to a 4/3. And then it contests pretty much everything. Interesting. Because, like, this is relevant specifically because there's a card that exists called Daisy Duck. So Daisy Duck is an aggro card in yellow. It's basically a 1/4 that comes out on turn 1, and it quests for 2. It's a 1/4 quest for 2. Whenever it quests, your opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If it's a character, they get to add it to your hand. But guess what? Most aggro decks do not give a shit if you're drawing, because by the time you kill that card, she's probably already gotten your opponent 6 lore. So getting Stitch on turn 2, buffing it to 4 attack on turn 3, and killing Daisy, kind of a lot more relevant than you would think. So I could see Stitch being played if that deck becomes a problem. Jim Hawkins. So this is the tiny shift target that you would want for the big one. It's a 2 mana 0/4, so just does nothing by itself. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, this character gains Challenger 2. So on turn 3, this becomes a 2/4 if it challenges something. But I think for the most part, you just want this on the field, so on turn 3, you can shift it into the other Jim Hawkins. Because, I mean, at that point, it's a 3 mana 5/5, deal 1 damage to something. Plus, it can attack or quest on the turn it comes out. So, will this be played? I mean, I think it might, just because 0/4, it's a large ass. It's a massive ass, especially on turn 2. Essentially, I think the way that game goes is if you draw either this card or the big card, you hard mulligan for the other one. And if you happen to draw it, dope. Turn 3, you get a 5/5. And that can deal with most everything. Magic Carpet, Honey Lemon. Whoop. We got another chip. Nope, that's wrong pile. Pete! It's a 3 mana 5/2. This card is only going to be relevant if Flynn Rider is going to be relevant, because Flynn Rider is a 3 mana 2/2. On the start of your turn, if you have a character with higher attack than your opponent, gain 3 lore. So it's like, Pete has massive attack, but it's also like going to die to everything. But it can deal with everything. Like I said, it can deal with Daisy. It's a vanilla, also doesn't do anything else, but it can kill most stuff if your opponent doesn't kill it first. Maybe. That's a big maybe card, and only if you're playing that Flynn Rider. Madam Mim. 3 mana uninkable, 2/3. 2 mana, choose and discard a card to gain a lore. Give us a discard outlet! Please! Please, Lorcana! Give me something that I want in my graveyard! You're giving me so many things! Oh, good, Daisy! Oh, Daisy. This is a card that I've been wanting to pull for the pirate deck. So it's a 4 mana 3/3. Whenever one of your pirate characters quests at a location, draw a card. So it just once, and like that's not once per turn either. So if you have multiple pirates on a location, they quest multiple times, Daisy's drawing you a bunch of cards. That's good. That's good. Good card. Good card. Also, I put Honey Lemon in the wrong pile. I'm doing that a lot. If I can at least get one more Daisy, I'll be happy. But ideally, I also get another legendary. I think I've only gotten that one Jasmine, which is insane. Actually, hold on. I'm just going to, like, double check real quick. I've gotten a lot of supers, which is good. I think, like, the copper, or, like, the rares have been, like, more impactful than a lot of the supers. I'm just double checking, because I don't know the set list by heart, so I don't really know if there are a bunch of, like I said, there are only 8 legendaries, or, like, gold cards. They give 2 to every single color each set, which means they're the chase cards. They're the cards you want. Usually you can get, like, 3, 4 per box, and I think so far I've literally only gotten 1, which is kind of insane, because I feel like even if I missed the card, like, they're pretty obvious. Like, if you just look at the Jasmine, like, I'm not sure if you could tell. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell with the light. But their art is, like that shiny part is a different, like, layer than the rest of the card. So, like, it kind of looks like a wax imprinting on the card. So I don't think that I would have missed any. I think I've just gotten unlucky and I haven't gotten any others. Which, I mean, is fine. There's only really one other mythical that I want in this set, and it's a Simba. Really, the main super rare, like, I want a lot more super rares than mythicals, honestly. Because, like, I want Daisy Ducks, I want that, the Wendy darling that we had. Which, I mean, I think me and my brother only pulled 2. I think we pulled 2 collectively. Just double checking real quick. I know I'm stalling. Whoop. It is currently 10 o'clock. I need to, like, hurry up. I just like reading all these cards. I like reading my cardboard, you know? You gotta read the card to understand the card. That's kind of the thing about card games. Yeah, no. I haven't gotten any other legendaries besides that one Jasmine. Okay. Well, we still have quite a few packs left. I say quite a few, but I mean, like, we're running out. So, Abu, Gadget, Dale, Carpenter, Trash, Heffalumps, Jim Hawkins, Pixie Dust. 4 mana uninkable. You can tap this and pay 2. Chosen character gains Challenger 2 and Evasive until the start of your next turn. For reference, Challenger only works when you're attacking something. So you have to actively be attacking. It doesn't work when they're being attacked. So essentially, this card reads 6 mana, a character gains Challenger 2 and Evasive. I think you would need to activate this like 3-ish times for it to be worth the cost. Thinking of it as, like, in terms of 6 mana do something. It's not great. Plus it's uninkable, which is, like, rough. I think you would only really play one of these in your deck. If you happen to draw it, then you play it. Otherwise, it just kind of like, you just chill out. Bellwether. It's a 3-mana 2/3. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen character gains Reckless. Reckless means they can't quest and they have to challenge. It's okay. It prevents your opponent from doing likely what they want to do, and it kind of ruins aggro strategies because it makes them have to attack into your stuff. And then on your turn, you can finish them off by attacking into them because they're going to be exerted. It's uninkable, though, which is sad. But probably still playable. Scrump! Okay, so it's 2 mana inkable. Tap one of your characters. Chosen character gets -2 attack until the start of your next turn. It's debuff. I'm telling you, man, yellow and blue with the yokai. Just debuff your character, like your opponent's character's attack, and then just draw a bunch of cards. It can work. I swear it can work. Just ignore all the microbots and play your other stuff. So, Mythical Tree. 2 mana, 1 to move there, 7 defense. At the start of your turn, you may move 1 damage from chosen character here to opposing chosen character. So every turn, this basically just moves damage around. At the start of your turn, if you have a character named Mama Odie here, gain a lore. So this card does not inherently give you any lore. You have to have Mama Odie here. I'm pretty sure most of the Mama Odis are purple, but I mean, there is one that's relevant. I think there's one Mama Odie that, whenever you sing a song, you gain a lore? Or I might be thinking of Tala. I think I'm thinking of Tala, actually. So I'm not sure if Mama Odie would be too good. Tadashi! I think this Tadashi is going to be a mainstay in a lot of blue decks, because it's a 3-mana 2/2, quest for 2. So I mean, it's a weenie, but that's kind of relevant for this one. During an opponent's turn, when this character is banished, so just banished, doesn't have to be in a challenge, just when they would get rid of this card, you may put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down, then put this card into your Inkwell face down. So, say you play this on turn 3, on turn 4 you quest with it, then your opponent gets rid of it. On turn 4, you suddenly ramp to 6 mana. Plus, on your turn you can play a mana, so you actually ramp to 7. So, this would get you... This is a fantastic ramp card, plus a quest for 2. And questing for 2 is very relevant because you can't just leave this on the board to just quest every turn. Otherwise, you're probably going to win the game, because 2 adds up. It adds up a lot. So it's either your opponent is forced to decide between letting this stick around and letting you get a bunch of lore, or killing it and giving you a bunch of ink. Mana. One of the two. So yeah, no, that's really good. Solid. Kakamora Pirate Pitcher. This gives your pirates evasive. Good. Come on, give me more chase cards! I demand chase cards! Okay, we got Gadget. We've got Chief Bogo, which is a very interesting card. It's a 4-mana 4/4, so decent stats. While you have a character named Gazelle in play, this character gains Singer 6. So, instead of being able to only sing 4 cost, it can sing songs up to 6. There are a bunch of relevant songs that cost 6, but you have to have a Gazelle in play. I'm not sure if there are any Gazelles that are good. Like, I know there's a 3-mana 2/3 Gazelle that's a Singer 5. I know that there's a green Gazelle that... What does she do? I don't even remember. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I've pulled at least one of her. Let me try and find her. Let me see what she does and if she's relevant. It was a while ago. I think it was a while ago. Did I not? I did not. Huh. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. I don't think Gazelle is good enough to be played, so because Gazelle is not good enough to be played, Chief Bogo is not good enough to be played. Genie... Oh! Hey, look at that! They came in the same pack. This is the card I was talking about. So, 2-mana Inkable, 1/2, so 2 mana bad stats. When you play this character, chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So, I mean, it's essentially the same as Kakamora, except it can apply to any character, but it's also 1 health lower. So it essentially dies to anything, but it makes sure another character can live. So, I mean, it's okay. But, like, that means you have to play green, yellow specifically in order to play that combo. Because the other Gazelle is not good. You would never play the yellow Gazelle with Chief Bogo. Because that yellow Gazelle is basically just a worse Ariel. Because Ariel is a 3-mana 2/3, same stats as that Gazelle, also a Singer 5. But you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck to add a song that you find to your hand. So it's just very good. You just had a very funny Master Duel interaction. Pen summoned entire hand, got a 2500 attack fusion monster, then had to leave. Bro saw me summon my entire hand, then surrender. Yep. Hey, sometimes you... Listen, the funniest thing is when your hand is absolutely ass garbage, but you play one single card, your opponent sees it and concedes because they think you have the cracked hand. That's like the best feeling in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not gonna lie to you. So, Adora Beazle. Kakamora, this is one that's unplayable, I think. Just because it's a 1-mana uninkable 0/2, so it just dies to anything, doesn't even do anything in retaliation. When you play this character, if you have another pirate in play, deal 1 damage to a character or location. So, not only does it have nothing in retaliation, it's uninkable, Plus, you already have to have a pirate in play, so you can't even play this on turn 1 to do 1 damage. Billy Bones. 3 mana, 2/2, quest for 2. When this character is banished, you can banish chosen item or location. So, I don't think you would run this card at 4. You would probably only run it, like, 2, maybe, and that's if you're in an item location heavy meta. And I mean, honestly, this is probably going to be a location heavy meta, so being able to get rid of any location for free, pretty damn good. Aladdin. So it's a 4 mana 1/4. It can shift for 2, so it can be a 2 mana 1/4. When you play this character, your characters get +2 attack this turn. So this is just a way better, what was that card we pulled? It was like the Jasmine card that's like 2 mana, action, not even a song. Your characters get +2 attack this turn. At least this comes with a 1/4 stick that also quests for 2. I mean, sure, you have to have a character on the field already, but like, if you shift this card in, this character gets 2 attack. So it becomes a 2 mana 3/4, which is pretty good. 4 mana 4/4, just a vanilla, doesn't do anything. Ooh, Owl Island. So it's a 3 mana uninkable, 1 mana to move there, 6 health. For each character you have here, you may pay 1 less for the first action you play each turn. So this is going to be in heavy action decks, or hold on, what is the... Whenever you play a second action, gain 3 lore. Yep, this is going to be in action-heavy decks. So basically, you play this out, you try to have as many ways to move things here freely as possible. There's a 1-mana card in green now that moves stuff to... locations on the start of your turn for free. So at the very least, on turn 4, you most likely have something on this, and then you can move something else on that. You could pay 2 less, you could play another action, gain 3 lore. I think this is going to see a lot of experimentation in action decks, for sure. Oh my god, second legendary. This is another card that I really want for the deck. I almost completely forgot he was a legendary. I only want 2 copies of him, but I mean, pulling 1 here means it's one that I don't have to pull later. So it's a John Silver, so he can go for shift 5 onto any other John Silver, and there are quite a few good ones, let's be real. So it's it's going to be a 5 mana 6/6, which is good stats. It has resist 2, so even Maui, with the big 6/5 that he is, cannot kill John Silver. Maui will run into John Silver and only do 4 damage. Then this has quest for 2, and at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to each opposing ready character. So if your opponent doesn't decide to quest with his stuff, he wants to keep them alive, wants to make sure they aren't injured, John Silver says no to that. He says, no, take your damage, take your lumps. Yeah, no, good card. I want to see at least 1 more of these, that way I can run 2 in my deck for sure. So we have 1 Jasmine, 1 John Silver, and I mean a shiny Smee. Anti-stall card. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Plus, having resist 2 means that he's very hard to get rid of, especially with, like, direct damage. Especially, like, so, like, funnily enough, John Silver, I don't think I've pulled the card yet. Hold on. Let me see if I can find my... Yeah, I had the deck that I had in sealed. Let me find the card. Where is it? Treasure Mountain. There it is. Because I do have a couple of other cards. I think I only got 1 Jasmine from the sealed as well. But Treasure Mountain. This is the card that's going to work especially well with him. It's basically 5 mana uninkable. You have to pay 2 to move here. 9 health. But it has 2 lore. At the start of your turn, deal damage to chosen character or location equal to the number of characters here. So if you can move a bunch of characters here for free, especially with that Moana that we had earlier, this is pinging a ton of things, and then John also pings a ton of things for free. So this is targeted, this is to everything. So it's a good combo. I think it's going to... I mean... I'm going to experiment with it for sure. I'm not sure about other people, but oh, I already had a pack that I did not open. It was just sitting off to the side. Everyone gangsta until I play Raigeki. Everyone gangsta until I play Feather Duster on their 5-set turn. Come on. There we go. That one was resisting me. Alright. Sour Bill, 100 Acre Island. So, 1 mana, 1 to move there, 5 health. During an opponent's turn, whenever a character is banished while here, gain a lore. So, it has very little health, so it's probably going to die on turn 2-3 if your opponent focuses it. So you really want to have high value stuff that's already here. So like if you have Lilos here that quest for 2, or other characters that are like really aggro, like the Daisy on here that quest for 2, your opponent is going to want to focus those cards rather than the location. So when they get rid of those cards, you also happen to gain a lore. Kind of like rock and a hard place with that, because either your opponent gets rid of this and you don't get that extra lore, or they let your characters gain a ton of lore while getting rid of this. Either way, you still get stuff. What do you mean I'm still live? I usually stream for 2.5 hours anyway. What do you mean? I mean, I try to aim for 3 hours, usually. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. How, it's 2 a.m.? It's only 10:13 here, friend. Me when I play a card to banish cards from the mill deck and make my opponent surrender. Oh, no. Alright, let's see. Mad Hatter's Teapot. It's an item. 2 mana, tap and pay 1. Each opponent puts the top card of their deck into their discard. Speaking of mill, it is literally mill. I don't think it's going to be played because it's so slow. And you have to also pay to activate it. If it was 2 mana mill 1, maybe, but like, nah. I mean, I think this is supposed to be played with a, there are a couple of items or locations that let you see the top card of your opponent's deck, and you literally just get rid of threatening cards that they would have drawn. Prepare to board. Useless in this TCG because no graveyard decks. I know! Well, I mean, actually, like, it's a lot better because you know there's nothing they're going to be able to get into their discard. No, it's not for your deck, it's for their deck. Mill the top card of their deck. And I mean, like, you know that they're not going to be able to get anything useful in their graveyard because there's nothing that exists that does that. Oh, hey, new card. Pluto! So it's a 4 mana 1/5, awful stats, with Bodyguard, so it's going to protect your other stuff. While this character has no damage, he gets +4 attack. So initially, this comes out as a 4 mana 5/5 with Bodyguard. That's pretty decent. It can basically make sure that one of your opponent's things dies no matter what. But then it becomes a weenie. So I mean, you basically just want to try and make sure that it has a high value trade. John Darling is just a vanilla. We got a different yokai. I think this is the more playable of the two small ones anyway. 4 mana 3/3. Whenever this character quests, you may return one of your items to your hand, and you pay 2 less for the next item you play this turn. So basically, like, the whole idea is to bounce a microbot to your hand. You play that microbot for free, you gain the effect and debuff something, and then you attack with your other stuff. Yeah, no, this is definitely way playable than the other yokai, for sure. So much potential for mill decks. For real, though! Ooh, Judy Hopps. This is one that I really wanted for my brother's deck specifically, because he's an aggro player, and there's a card that lets you cheat out 6 cards, like, 2 turns early. So, like, it has support, so support doesn't matter. It basically just adds its attack to something else whenever it quests. The main thing is, at the end of your turn, you may ready another chosen character of yours. So if you have a weenie that quests for, like, a ton of mana, you have one of those, like, Flavershims that, like, is a 1/1/02 that quests for 3. You quest for 3, get Judy out, end of your turn, bam! They can't attack that card anymore. So I think that's going to be very relevant. Or at least I'm going to try and make it relevant. Goofy. 5 mana 1/4, ward, so they can't target it, but it is a weenie. Whenever this character quests, chosen character gains ward until the start of your turn. Start of your next turn. I think the Alice that we saw was a better card than this and did the same thing for cheaper. But it's not okay. Giving stuff ward is always good. And a shiny walrus. I'm telling you, DJ, the millisecond they give us a good card to discard, I'm running a mill deck. It doesn't even matter if we only have one good card to discard. I'm running that goddamn mill deck. Jumbo Pop. We got Chip. Why do I keep trying to put cards over there? No, bad. Go in the right pile. Carpenter. Basil. He's a 3-mana 3/2 with evasive. Nah, not good. He's basically just worse Prince John? I think his name was... No, it's not Prince John. The Prince? Whatever the Prince card was, because that Prince was a 2-mana 3/2 with ward. And that's way better than evasive. I'm not going to lie to you. Kakamora, the one that's not playable. Michael, you get on that goddamn deck, you... What's the progress on the picture? Probably a lot. I have a ton of them. We'll see at the very end. Training dummy. We got a long boat. This is our first Wasabi. It's a 4-mana 3/3. When you play this character, you may banish an item. Its player gains 1 lore. So it's basically just item removal, or in a pinch it can get you a lore, I suppose. During your turn, this character gains evasive. So this card can hit evasive stuff on your turn, and it's basically just item removal besides that. Ooh, another super rare. Jim Hawkins. This is a 7-mana 4/7. Unfortunately, it's not shift. I think if this was shift, it would be real damn good. But it's a 4/7 with bodyguard. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal any number of pirates there, and put them in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. I think this is going to be really good in, like, yellow-red decks, because red has a ton of pirates. Yellow doesn't have too many pirates. I mean, it has a couple, but... I mean, again, this card is very expensive. There are cards to make this cheaper, but you have to play it in a pirate-heavy deck when you play this character. Okay, so it comes out and you immediately get an effect like Ariel, except instead of only 1 card to your hand, as many pirates as possible to your hand. You can see it. Oh, yeah, baby! We did it! I pulled the second Simba, woo! Because my brother pulled a Simba in his sealed, and we only needed 2 for his deck. We did it! So it's a 5-mana 4/4, so I mean, even that's doable. That's okay stats. But it's a shift 3. So 3-mana 4/4, understand the balance. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready your other characters. All of your other characters. So in an aggro decks are probably already playing the small Simbas. So you say you play a Daisy on turn 1, Daisy quest for 2. On turn 2, you play the Simba that has taunt, your Daisy quest for 2, you're at 4 lore. On turn 3, if your opponent hasn't gotten rid of your Simba, bam, you play Big Simba, your Daisy quests, you get 6 lore, and then your Simba quests, you get 8 lore, and then your Daisy becomes ready. So that by itself, those 3 cards get you a minimum of 10 lore if your opponent has not dealt with them in any meaningful way. Like, insane. Like, it just is. It's crazy. Like, this card in aggro decks is going, this is going to be the main reason people are going to main deck a lot, more removal, more hard removal. Even if it costs more, even if it breaks an arm and leg, people are going to have to play more removal because this card exists. Halfway wins in 3 turns. Yeah, no, getting 10 lore in 3 turns is insane. It's absolutely crazy. And then Small Jasmine. We don't care about that. I mean, honestly, I think the only other legendary I want is one more John Silver. Hold on. Because I know one of the legendaries is a genie. Hold on, let me... Azurite. See all... legendary. Okay, come on. Show me all the legendaries. I don't care. Just show me the legendaries. Just show me the legendaries. I don't... I don't care what the top 10 cards are. Give me the goddamn legendaries. Okay, there's a Baymax legendary. That's a heal card. Don't really care about that. There's an Yzma. If you have fewer than 3 cards in your hand, draw until you have 3. Don't really care about that. So let's see. There's John Silver. There's Simba. A Genie, which is a shift 5. Whenever you play a card, draw a card. At the end of your turn, put all the cards on your hand in the bottom. So basically, draw 2 cards a turn. At the end of your turn, if you have any cards in your hand, put them on the bottom of the deck. So I don't want that. Oswald. Oswald is the only other legendary that I would want. It's a 2-mana uninkable 2/1. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you can reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an item, play that card for free, and you play it exerted. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. But the main thing is, you can put multiple cards in your inkwell per turn. So you can trigger that effect multiple times per turn and get like 6 cost items, 7 cost items into the game for free. Way earlier than you would have earlier. And then there's Maui Shark, which I don't really care about. Okay, so realistically, for me, for the deck that I want to play, we already got the Simba for my brother, so he has 2 Simbas. There's nothing else he has to worry about. I just want one more John Silver. If we can get a John Silver, this box will have been completely worth it. I mean, that's just Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Has turned into, like, the biggest one-turn combo fest ever. It's also the reason why, like, I love Yu-Gi-Oh!, but you gotta take a break from Yu-Gi-Oh! Every so often. You cannot only play that game. Like, it will weigh on you, it will weigh on your soul if that's all you play. Like, that's why I play the Pokemon TCG, I play Elestrals, I play Lorcana, I play a bunch of different card games, honestly, but after playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For like an hour, I feel like dying. It's fun for the first like 30 minutes, and then you get absolutely hosed one game, and you're like, ah. Alright, let's see. Let's speed through the specs. Kakamora, Gadget, Chief Bogo, Genie, Gazelle, John Silver. I think I now have 3 copies of that. Ideally, I can get 1 more, and I mean, it is a common. March Hare, not good. It's a 4-mana 2/3 with Rush. Just very overvalued Rush right there. Basil. I can't remember how you say his name. I think it's Basil. 6 mana 4/6, shift 4, so it can come in as 4 mana 4/5. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may pay 1 to have chosen opponent choose and discard a card. So this is basically just discard. Discard heavy, make your opponent discard as much as possible. If you play this in a blue deck, and you immediately play like Azurite C or something, you can have them discard 2 cards on turn 5. Basically get rid of all of their cards. 2 mana 1/3, Grand Councilwoman. Whenever this character quests, your other alien characters get +1 lore this turn. Decent for like John Silver, because a lot of John Silver cards are really good. Like listen, this John Silver card, it's all right, but let me show you the fucking goat. Hold on, where is the card? I think I have it over here. I can reach, I swear. Let me see if I can find it. There he is. This is the John Silver that makes Pirates worth playing. It's a 3 mana 3/3, so good stats already. For each location you have in play, this character gains resist 1 and gets 1 lore. So if you have two locations in play, it has resist 2 and quests for 3, which is insane. Like, this card is the whole reason why you would want to play location decks in Steel. So that card by itself is what makes this card so playable. Like, because if you're playing Steel and you're playing that John Silver, you can easily get this John Silver out. 100%. Did I have another card on? What was I talking about? I don't even remember anymore. Ah, delicious, delicious sound. Alright, Abu, it's a 5 mana 4/4 with Rush. Like I said, Maui is a 5 mana 6/5 with Rush Reckless, just never going to be played. Jumbo Pop, we got a Chip, Carpenter, Basil, Kohut, Scar. Scar is decent. It's a 6 mana 4/4 with Rush, so I mean, bad comparison to Maui already, but it has Challenger 3. So Challenger 3, it comes in and it can immediately hit something for 7 damage, which gets rid of pretty much all locations immediately. So if you're playing like, if you're playing a purple deck and you're not playing red, this could come up, especially like, because Maui is a red card. If you're not playing red, you have to look for whatever alternatives you can have, and that's decent. Another Donald Duck. Dale. Stop putting cards right there. Madam Mim. It's a 2 mana 0/3 with Challenger 1, so it's a 2 mana 1/3. Your other characters gain Challenger 1. So this makes all of your other cards angry and want to hit stuff. Just slightly harder. Oh, God. Oh, dropping everything. Is this my first Baymax? I think it is. If you have an Inventor character in play, you may pay 1 less to play this character. And for 2 mana, remove up to 1 damage from another chosen character. So it can be a 2 mana 0/4, which is basically on par with other 2 mana cards that already exist, but it can quest for 2, and it can remove damage. It's okay. I think you would only really play this if you manage to pull the big Baymax and they're like are able to shift on top of it. And then I'm Still Here, which gains resist, draws a card. We're reaching the end. We have 3 packs left. Guys, wish me luck. Like, I need to get that 1 extra legendary. Alright, let's see. Kakamora. Sour Bill. 100 Acre, I don't care. Mad Hatters. Prepare to Board. King Hubert. Lost the Way. Megabot. Prince Naveen. Oh, hey, look, Treasure Mountain. I was only going to play 2 of these in that deck anyway, so I mean, this is my second copy. So 5 mana, 2/9. At the start of your turn, deal damage to chosen character or location equal to the number of characters here. And plus, at the start of each of your turn, gains 2 lore. Plus 9 health is nothing to sneeze at. It's probably going to be able to live stuff. The reason... Okay, so I'm going to say, like, for 5 mana uninkable, you might be wondering, like, why I'm willing to play that. Let me go grab that deck shell that I had again. Because there's another card that I want to show you that makes all of those cards way better. Way, way better. It's another Jim Hawkins! Look at that! Surprise, surprise! It's a 5 mana 4/4. When you play this character, you may put... Oh, wait, it doesn't work with that. Still works with other locations, though, so it's still very relevant, although it does not work with that one specifically. But when you play this character, you may play a location with cost 4 or less for free. Whenever you play a location, this character may move there for free. So, 5 mana, you play this, you get another location out for free, you know, what have you. And then on turn 5, or turn 6, you play that other one, Jim can move there for free. And then you just start pinging 1 damage to everything, and then you slowly start moving your other characters to that land to actually just start dealing damage. Dealing as much damage as possible, you know? Alright, let me grab... Whoop, where's the rest of them? Ow! Just bumped my head. Alright. Mountain. Smee! Oh my god, this is the first Smee we've gotten. So it's a 6 mana 3/6, so... But for 4, you can shift it. So for any of those goated 2-cost Smees, you wait 2 turns, smack this on top of them. When you play this character, you may deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of other pirate characters you have in play. So a lot of times, this is going to deal 2-3 damage to anything that you want. Well, I mean, another character that you want. Pretty good. It's pretty good. pretty good. I wish I got like at least one more of those in the deck, but only one. 3 mana 1/4 Captain Hook. When this character is exerted, opposing pirate characters can't quest. Whenever this character is challenged, draw a card. So, anti-pirate strategy. If you know a lot of people at your locals or a lot of people at a tournament are going to be on pirates, this is going to be really good. Otherwise, it's just a 3 mana 1/4 and it draws you ideally 2 cards. Because it does have 4 health and it can quest for 2. So they have to get rid of it eventually. So at the very minimum, probably drawing at least 1 card. So 3 mana 1/4 quest for 2, draw a card. It's okay. Wait, did I? Oh, apparently I set some cards off to the side before I was done with a different pack. Grand Councilwoman, Tigger. 3 mana 0/4 with evasive. Whenever you play an action, this character gets +1 attack, +1 lore. So on turn 4, you have to play a bunch of actions for this to be relevant. It does have evasive, so it's hard for things to challenge it. I don't know. Kind of hard to evaluate, I'm going to be real with you. Seeking the Half Crown. For each sorcerer you have in play, you may pay 1 less to play this location. Draw 2 cards. So at what point is drawing 2 cards good, especially for uninkable? Because there is a card in this game called Friends on the Other Side. Friends on the Other Side is a 3 mana inkable card that draws you 2 cards. So at the very minimum, this has to be... You have to have 3 sorcerers in play for this to be better than that card, because then it would be 2 mana, draw 2 cards. So I think this is way too much setup, and you would just play Friends on the Other Side, especially because Friends on the Other Side is a song, so you could just use a character to sing that song, play it for free, you don't even have to spend mana to play it. And a Stitch. Alright, we got 3 packs left. 3 packs, come on! Get me more streamer luck. I think I've already had pretty good streamer luck getting those. I mean, Jasmine's pretty good. I think you would only ever run 2 Jasmines, and I got 1 in my sealed deck, which is really good. Simba, my brother got a Simba in his sealed deck, so that's really good. His deck is pretty much done with those. John Silver, just one John Silver. 1 John Silver, or another equivalent that I can sell to get a John Silver. That's what I want. So, Antcass, Litwax, Making Magic, Galactic Communicator, Michael Darling, Mr. Arrow. This is the small Mickey Mouse that you're meant to play with the Pirate Mickey Mouse. It's not great. It's a 3 mana 2/3. Quest for 2, so I mean, that's okay. Your character's named Pluto, gain resist 1. Imagine you get a different John Silver. I mean, I probably will get at least 1 more of the small John Silvers. Jasmine, so this is like the Jasmine you'll most likely be playing with the green one. So red-green, looking like a pretty good combo just for that. Hiro Hamada. It's an uncommon, this is the first one I've gotten of him. 3 mana 0/3. You can tap this and pay 2. Search your deck for an item card or robot card and reveal it to everyone. Shuffle your deck and put it on top. So basically you can guarantee your next draw is a decent one, but you do have to pay 2 mana for it. So you can play this out on turn 3. On turn 4, you can play a 2-drop, activate this ability. And then on turn 5, you can finally play whatever item you're looking for. It's okay. I mean, it's a way to tutor cards. There aren't many ways to tutor cards in this game. Usually cards that do tutor in this game just put to the top of the deck. Exactly. It's not bad if you're struggling to draw what you need. So basically, you would put it out. Hopefully you, I mean, obviously, hopefully he can live. Usually he can, because on turn 3, there's not much that can deal that much damage. Unless, of course, your opponent shifts out a 5 cost and then they sing like Zeus. Singing Zeus would be really bad. Zeus is a 4 cost card that deals 5 damage to an opposing character or location. So that would completely fuck you up. I mean, to be fair though, that fucks up most people. Just baseline. But not many people are playing Zeus, so I think you should be good having Hero live. Ambush. 3 mana. Action. Tap one of your characters to deal damage equal to their attack to chosen character. Okay. So this, obviously you want to value high attack minions, and then you just absolutely body one of their characters. I think the other steel card that costs 3 is Strength of a Raging Fire. So Strength of a Raging Fire is a 3-mana inkable card. Deal damage to a character equal to the number of characters you have in play. So while that requires... both of them require setup, this requires less setup. So if you have one character that has 3 attack, this is 3 mana, deal 3 damage. If you have something like that Pete, for instance, that's a 5 attack creature. This is 3 mana, deal 5 damage. That's pretty damn good. You do have to tap him though, so he immediately dies, but let's be real, Pete was dying anyway. But I could see this card. I like this card. I like this card a lot, but it is uninkable, which makes it a lot less playable. Typically in a deck, you try to keep your uninkables to about... I mean, I try to personally keep them at about 16 and below. My brother is an aggro player, so he usually has like 20 uninkables in his deck. It depends on how high you need to go. If you need to get to like 6 cost, 7 cost stuff, 16 is like the max you can have in your deck. So you're really trying to like make sure the uninkables, like the ones you have in your deck, very relevant to your strategy. It's like Raigeki or Feather Duster, they are universal counters, yes. I do love both of those cards, but it's just so set. Well, no, not necessarily, DJ. Raigeki is now set to 2. Pete would then also eat an attack in that scenario. Yes, exactly. So Pete would do double duty. He comes out for I think, was he a 3 cost or a 2 cost? I can't actually remember. Pete, where you at? Pete, 3 mana. Okay, so 3 mana, 5/2. Comes out. You play ambush on turn 4. Bam, deal 5 damage to something. And then the next turn, they probably have to get rid of Pete, or if they only had 1 creature on the field, Pete gets to live for 1 turn. What, you could have 2 now? What, do you not pay attention to the banned and limited list? In Master Duel, you've been able to have 2 Raigeki for a very long time, DJ. I think it's been since, like, March of this year or something like that. Yeah, no, you've been able to have 2 for a while. Alright, so let's see. Zipper. A 3-mana inkable 2/2 with ward, so people can't target this. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, another chosen character gains resist 1 until the start of your next turn. So Zipper doesn't have to quest. Zipper can just stay in attack mode. Can't be targeted by spells, so they can't be removed via spells. Can't be targeted by effects from creatures either. And then it just basically gets to buff your stuff so that they can live even on your opponent's turn if you happen to, like, want them to. And then Mystical Tree. 2 mana, 1 to move there, 7 cost. Oh, we already read this. This is the Mama Odi card. It just threw me off because it was shiny. Alright, we got 2 packs left. 2 packs left. And then we cry. What are the odds? What are the odds I can get at least 1 more legendary? Just a stack of cards on my left. Okay, we got Ben. We got Chip. We got Fairy Ship, which is just a 1/1/4. Fred, the aggro man. Lead the way. This is the bad Aladdin that I was talking about. The other Aladdin is just way better. Sunglasses. 4 mana, tap to draw a card, and then choose and discard a card. Wasn't Cobra Bubbles, like, costed 5 and did the exact same thing? Oh, but you did have to pay 2 for it, its ability, I suppose. It's hand fixing. I don't think it's too great. It's too expensive. Unfortunate Situation. 4 mana, each opponent chooses one of their characters and deals 4 damage to them. So the way this is worded, this actually gets around ward, because your opponent has to choose their own character. So, like, If your opponent has something with ward, if they have something that they want to keep up, if they have anything, the only problem is that it costs 4, so this is very expensive. So you're paying 1 mana for each damage you're doing, and then your opponent gets to choose. So if your opponent only has 1 character, you get to blast that character. If they have 2 characters, they'll obviously blast the character that's least important to them. So ideally, you try to force them into an unfortunate situation. Honestly, that is literally what you have to do to them. That's funny that they named it that. Card Soldier Spear. I don't think I've gotten 4 copies of this. I think I've only gotten like 2, which is very unfortunate. Nick Wild. 3 mana, 1/3, shift 1. Okay, so if you have another Nick that just comes out on the field for 1, that's pretty good. While you have an item in play, this character can't be challenged. So, best case, it's a 1 mana 1/3, which is just baseline for a 1 mana card anyway. And then it just can't be challenged. So it's basically just a land or a location each turn that's getting you 1 lore. I think this is just too slow to be played. Plus, you already have to have an item. So, like, the ideal situation is you play that 1-cost Nick Wild, 2 mana, you play an item, 3 mana, you play this and a 2-drop. I don't think it's going to be played. Raya. This is an interesting card. I think this is going to see a lot of play. There are cards that it can work off of. So, 4 mana, 3/3. So, not great stats, but alright. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may ready another chosen character of yours. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. So, the fact that they can't quest is a little sad, but there are a lot of characters that say, tap this creature, do something. So, if you ready one of those, it's immediate value. Well, I mean, on turn 5 anyway, because you put Raya down, quest with the creature that you want to get the effect with, put something in your mana pool, ready that character, and then use their ability again. So it basically just lets you get more value out of your cards that you would have anyway. Let me, like, adjust my camera a little bit. Alright, Madam Mim, and then Rabbit. Alright. Last pack. Last pack, everyone. We got 3 legendaries. Typically, I mean, from what me and my brother have experienced, there's been 3, 4 in a box, usually. So, hope. We're hoping here. Okay. Nick Wild, that's the Nick Wild that I was talking about. Dale. Making Magic. Prepare to board. Moana. I think that's my playset of Moana, because I've gotten 2, and I think I had 1... Oh, no, I think I need 1 more. Well, whatever. It's probably a cheap card. Sunglasses. Another Jim Hawkins. Okay. John Silver. Okay, so now I have 3 John Silvers. I would probably only play 3 max if I was going to. Another of that Nick Wild that can't be touched. Pooh! So a 2 mana 2/2 with support. Support doesn't really matter. Whenever this character quests, you may pay 1 less for the next pirate character you play this turn. I think there are better cards that let you discount. Like there's a 1 mana Uninkable Pluto. It's a 0/1, but it essentially lets you discount any character by 1. And then there's a 3 mana Gaston. That's a 2/4, so it's a 2/4, so it's able to live a ton of stuff. And then whenever it quests, discount by 2. So you can turn 3 ramp to a 6-cost minion on turn 4. So unfortunately, while Winnie the Pooh is cool, I don't think it's going to be played compared to those other 2. Bend to My Will. This is a build-around card that I really wanted to play. It's a 7 mana Uninkable, and it's an action, so you can't sing it. Each opponent discards all cards in their hand. See, it's like very expensive to do that. The thing is, in this game, there's a 5-mana card that you can sing called A Whole New World. What A Whole New World does is it makes both players discard their hand, draw 7 cards. So my dream is on turn 7, you sing A Whole New World with one of your characters, both players draw 7 cards, play Bend to My Will, make your opponent discard their whole hand. That's the dream scenario. That is peak copium right there. And boy howdy, am I heaving the copium. I can hope, right? And then a fairy ship. So unfortunately, not another legendary, but I mean, with this, I only need one more John Silver. I was only ever going to play 2 Jasmines anyway. I have 2. And then my brother pulled a Simba, so now we have 2 Simbas that we can do. Sweet. So I didn't get any enchanted cards. Enchanted cards are like alt art versions of these cards. They're the highest chase cards possible, and those are usually worth, I mean, even like the most unlikable ones of them are worth like $50. The high-end ones, I think I have a Tinkerbell from like the first set that's worth like $300. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Just mill like 10 plus cards from your opponent's deck. Oh, trust me, if people activate multiple Whole New Worlds in a game, you can chew through each other's decks really quick, especially if both of you are playing it and both of you play it multiple times. It happens. All right, let's see if we can make the picture. All right, that's bottom left. This is looking like it's one of the bottom. Okay, this is bottom right. This is a middle. For reference, I think this is one of the player insert characters that they've made for the lore. That's not one that I can do. There's this one. Okay, picture coming together. We got a Stitch. It's top left. It's bottom right. Okay, top middle. Another Stitch. Come on. That's a middle. Where are the other 2? That's bottom right. That's top right. Oh, we got a left. Now we just need to find the center card. If I somehow did not get a center card, that'd be wild. Especially with how many packs are in there. How many packs? Yep, nope, there it is. Right in the center. Ah, what a beautiful picture we got. Look at that! Jim Hawkins, Stitch, they're just going. And then the player insert character. But we don't care about the player insert character. We just care about our 2 pirate boys chilling on the pirate ship and doing what they need to do. Yeah, no, I'm overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy because we got the Simba, we got John Silver, and we got Jasmine. All 3 of these massive cards, and then, like I said, we had already had 1 Simba, we had already had 1 Jasmine, so those ones complete. We would probably only play 2 of those anyway. I do need to go out and buy 1 more John Silver, unfortunately. But I don't think he's going to be a very expensive legendary, just because he requires a lot of setup. I mean, he's just something that I want to play personally. But yeah, no, all in all, I'd say that's a pretty successful pack opening. A pretty successful box opening. Unfortunately, no enchanteds. I would have loved an enchanted on stream. That would have been crazy. But hey, I got pretty much everything that I wanted. So alright, Acolights. Hey, I hope you've liked this stream. I mean, I love doing card game content, so I'm probably, whenever I get a box of anything, I'll probably open it on stream. You know, I gotta get in that streamer luck when I can. But yeah, no. Hey, I hope you've had a good stream. I hope you've had a good time. And as always, do your best to be kind, alright? Alright, have a good night, have a good day. And I'll talk to you later. See ya.